Yes.
Hey,
What's up, y'all?
Yeah, this is another episode of UFO Garage.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Joe, and this is where we talk about UFOs, aliens, and all things weird. What is up, everybody? We had a little bit of audio issues there at the beginning. I was getting a little nervous, man.
I was gonna learn. We had that weird echo, and that was strange. That's never happened.
That was pretty crazy. Well, hey, when you can't figure it out, what do? You
you just turn it off.
Turn it off and turn it back on again.
Yeah,
unplug, replug.
Yeah, dude. Well, sheesh,
Internet.
man. Yeah, dude. So we have been. I'm so stoked for our guest, bro.
Yeah, me too.
Larry, bro. We've known him for what, 2 years now.
Yeah, pretty close, man.
Yeah, and he is just a dope dude. He's been a supporter of the show, and he's got a really awesome story. So glad to have him on. We had him scheduled a couple weeks ago, and then Joey Boy got the oho, and then we had to get that cleared up.
I got some oho, bro. I had to get it taken care of. Had to go get me a dozen eggs and just see which one worked. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, dude. You gotta watch that yolk, bro. But
oh, dude,
yeah, man, yeah. I'm super stoked. So yeah, Larry, we put you on as Phinnean, and you could tell us more about that. But yeah, everybody say what's up to Larry. What's up, dude?
What's up, guys? Hey, everybody. Nice to be on the show. Nice to see you, fellas.
Yeah, man, dude, it's so nice to finally get to actually chat. I know we had something scheduled a couple weeks ago, but it's been said I had the oho, dude. I had to just kind of take it easy. I just wasn't feeling good, and we wanted to make sure we were 100% for this, dude, because you've been so awesome. You've been a great supporter of the show, man, and now you got your own stuff going, man.
Yeah,
it looks awesome.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, it kind of just, I've been kind of poking Ben for a while now. I got to be honest. You guys are really just my inspiration, man. It was like, when I had that experience that I had out in Montauk, it was absolutely wild. It was thrilling. It was everything you can imagine. It's like, having an open mind, seeing a couple of things throughout life and stuff like that. Sure, that's so cool, but that experience in itself, it's just amazing, how it makes you feel. And like I tell people though, it's we're in this field and we've been kind of doing this now a while, and it's like, yeah, okay, I saw a UFO and it was amazing and it was life-changing and all that stuff. You can't really just take that and put that on somebody. They're not gonna have that experience with you. They're like, okay, you're weird, go away now. That was cool, but and then it's over. It's like, no. It's not over. That's just the beginning. I've been studying now and I'm doing research. I know there's people out there that are just like me, and it's kind of like I was in this really weird place, and Ben, I had mentioned to you, it was just like you kind of all alone, and I was losing my mind, and I found your show, man, and it was just grace, it was like, thank God, it kind of brought me, sort of grounded me a bit. I'm like, this is great. This makes me feel like I'm not losing my mind. And it kind of was just, it was very necessary at the time. And, I kind of just latched onto the show. I've been a big follower, obviously, supporter ever since. So, I wanted to say thank you to you guys. You really kind of not only grounded me and got me going, but I was able to kind of ball up this energy. It's kind of in my logo that, you guys have seen on Phinnean, and Phinnean kind of is just a version of me, sort of that. There's all kinds of little nuggets in there too. It's the fin was, I was a swimmer my whole life, so that's kind of part of me. I was a professional swimmer, and that kind of is part of that name too. So there's a couple of things kind of baked in there, and that logo just kind of came to me, and I'm like, that's my ball of energy. And then if you're talking to my friend JP, that's a whole nother experience that I can talk to you guys about too. But Montauk was kind of where it all started. But,
yeah. Dude, I didn't know about that. Yeah, I didn't know about the name having to do with Phinnean. Okay, I get the fin part, dude.
Yeah.
And I was curious about the logo. So the ball of energy, man, is that related to the Montauk experience that you had?
It kind of represents me and kind of what's happened over the last year and a half to 2 years, where it's sort of I don't know, do we delete that 1 year? But that was sort of me, working, in my basement, developing this thing, and this kind of ball of energy was just kind of trapped down there, if you would. And then it's sort of hey, the website emerged, and my podcast kind of emerged with JP, and that's a whole nother story, which is just wild. Because he and I had a dual sighting. This is a year later after the Montauk thing, and we kind of were like, wait a minute, what did you say? You filmed the video on your iPhone? And I'm like, I have the same thing, and then I was on a different part of Long Island, maybe like 45 minutes apart. We analyzed the two videos together, which are all on my website, and the objects are identical. So that kind of brought us back together. I mean, this is one of my friends that's like, it doesn't matter. 10 years can go by. I mean, like he was at my wedding 10 years ago. I've known him for 25 years plus, but it's one of those guys that you just kind of, you can turn the page and you pick up the phone, you start talking. It was like yesterday, the same thing. It's just those people you keep with you forever,
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
So we kind of, like the phenomenon does, I kind of feel it has this way of like triangulating us a bit, and it's like once you have this open mind and stuff like that, that it kind of will peer its head to you. So I think that may have happened, like, because this is a year later after the Montauk experience, right? And we both just got to talking, analyzing the videos, and then we started sending each other stuff. Which something else phenomenal kind of happened in our first episode, which was Oumuamua, when I've been studying for the longest time. And he sent me something that was basically like a comet that was coming into our atmosphere. And it was sort of like this big, if you've seen episode 1 of our podcast, it kind of looked like this formation that kind of came into our atmosphere. And the thing's kind of like a little wonky, and it's like, oh, that's Elon Musk's, or it's Starlink or it's something like that kind of blew up, and they, the media just pushes it off, right? And I'm like, that is not what I see at all. So JP kind of looked at it through my lens, where my eyes just did this thing with it, and I'm like, look at that object, and I'm like, if you actually take like a light pen and you go over it and like kind of went over Oumuamua, I saw Oumuamua there, and it was just nuts. And then we put the two images together, and it's like if you invert the light scheme and place them over each other, I'm like, that came into our atmosphere. So that was a total bug out to me. And I sent that back to him. And we have this thing on our podcast where we kind of put stuff in like this nebulous space. We both kind of go retrieve the content maybe right before the episode, and we review it, and then we go on the episode live. And he was like, I fell out of my chair. He's like, because he did what I asked him to do, and he just couldn't believe it. So I just see these things a certain way, So,
dude,
and that was just episode 1. We're like, we got to keep going with this. So, we both have lives and families and all kinds of jobs and everything. So everything seems to get in the way of the really fun stuff, right? But so this has just been cool, and listening to you guys, it's just great. So I appreciate it, man. I really like being here. So, thanks.
Dude. Yeah, likewise, man. Your show is great. Like you and JP have like such a great chemistry going back and forth, man. And going from that first episode into that third episode, you could really tell you guys are both kind of coming out of your shell and able to articulate things in the way you're feeling. I think that's one of the most difficult thing for an experiencer is to articulate how they feel about their experience, and just being able to like get past that aspect and keep moving is pretty awesome to see. So.
Yeah. So it's been wild, and I know we kind of talked about that first experience there in Montauk. I mean, that was just, it was out of this world. I was just explaining this to somebody else, that I had that app Skyview, and I'm just like hanging out with my son. We're just doing our thing in Montauk. Which we're leaving for again in a couple of days. Same place, same room, same. I must have all the same things now, 3rd year in a row. But like I was saying, it just happened to be that night. It was gorgeous out. It was like 9 o'clock at night. I'm looking through Skyview. You're getting all the constellations, the planets, and all that stuff. And I kind of just put my phone away. Maybe I was going for another s'mores, whatever it was. And then all of a sudden, just right up over the resort, this orb just shows up. And it goes up into the sky, and I'm like, oh, come on, And people were just like in awe, and I just get calm in situations like that. And I just luckily just pulled out my phone and I recorded. And you've seen the recording a couple times, and I just recorded it for 46 seconds, I call it, and it was just out of this world. I mean, it changed shape, it zipped across, it kind of defied physics a few times, and then it was gone. So, that was like, I was sure about that. I knew that there was stuff up there. And like, I've seen a bunch of stuff through my life. I've lived pretty close to the equator. I lived on the island of Montserrat for a year, so I saw a lot of stuff there. I remember when I was younger, I saw something really cool. I was probably like my son's age, and I remember my dad pulling out this like 1970s camera with like the cube on the top that literally actually bursts and turns. So I'm like, Dad, I want the camera, I want the camera. And we went outside, and I could swear I got a photo of it. And I kind of got a little upset when I went in the house later on. I was getting ready to show my mom, and there was no film in the camera. So, it's just one of those things that I'm like, I'm telling you, and it's like, yeah. But it's just like through life, it's just wild. You kind of know that there's stuff out there. Like I always say, now it's like I say don't forget to look up, but it's kind of weird now. I like only look up now, so it's like
right.
So
It's always like it's sometimes when you try to record these things, it usually doesn't work out. So this is like pretty crazy that you were able to get something on film. Would it be possible to show it right now? Can we go to your website and pull it up on the screen?
Absolutely.
Dude,
If you go down to the screen, and I kind of did like a little. I looked at that video, I mean, God knows how many times, but I narrowed it down to, maybe like 30 frames per second. And I was taking still shots, and I got one still shot of the orb, which it's kind of wild. I mean, you can almost like see like windows on it going around it. And a little bit lower down on my website, I did like an analysis of it, which I actually, I'm kind of in the television game a bit. And I had some friends over at the History Channel that I kind of wanted to alert of this and everything, and I showed it to them, and they were kind of intrigued by all that too. So,
dude,
that's
okay,
cool.
So if I'm on your website, where would I go to find?
Just scroll down, and there's like a carousel there.
Yeah,
I got a couple of videos that we just been throwing out there because we just think that they're outrageous. And then to the right on the carousel, you'll see one of the first videos there. If you wave your cursor over it, or if you click on it, it'll say Montauk.
It says Montauk on it.
Yeah, you got to kind of wave your cursor over it though.
Okay, all right, one sec.
So like if you go through the carousel over to the right.
Over to the right. Okay, oops. No. I see one that says July 4th. Is that?
That was the 4th of July one. That was JP and I next to each other.
Okay.
So it should be. Let's see. I can go to the website too.
Dang it! I'm not seeing it on this carousel. Maybe I'm on the wrong carousel. Dang it. Okay.
Do you see the one with the pictures? I'm sorry. Below the bigger carousel, there's a smaller carousel, which is kind of like the image itself.
Yeah.
And there's like that's my dog Dexter's bowl. I kind of use that for I use that for perspective.
Okay, so I see at 30K feet, and then I see drones, and then it says triangle UFO captured on video.
So below that.
Okay. Then I have the form. So here, I'll share my screen. Share screen. Boom. So this one here.
Hold on a second. I minimized to go onto my website, and now I lost you guys. But wait, maybe I can just go back to the link.
So how do you feel about
there we go. Yeah, so if you scroll, let's see. So right there.
This one?
There's one that says that's July. Now keep going to the right.
I think that's the end of the carousel on this one.
Okay, so maybe scroll down a little bit. Let me just see if you can. That's the bottom. Scroll up a little bit. Scroll up a little bit more. Yeah, a little bit more. So right on the picture, you see the dog dish?
Oh, this
to the right. So that's the freeze frame that I got of the image. And what I was trying to do is that's the video right there. So that's
the video.
That's right over the resort in Montauk. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Well, let's play it, dude. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, here we go. Maximize, dude.
There should be some audio too, but.
Dude, that's what flew over my house.
Yeah, because I remember when Joe, I remember when you guys saw the orbs too. I'm like, this is effing nuts because you guys were just like opening your minds to it. I'm like, I was just telling Ben this. I'm like, I know you like this email, Ben. I'm like, when you open your mind, I have like all my details of things that can happen in the phenomenon. And it's like, if you're open to it, it comes. And then you guys go out and have these crazy experiences. I'm like, this is nuts, you know? So it's like, we kind of are like linked together this way somehow.
Dude.
You know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, man.
So
It
that
is.
is kind of, you'll see that. So 46 seconds of that, you know, it gets bigger, it's smaller. And then if you go to the next video, slow it down. So my buddy slowed it down when it does this thing, 600%. So if you see it kind of just, I mean, it's defying like every law of physics there.
Yeah.
When you see that, and that's slowed down 600%. So that's how this thing was moving. And I mean, I was watching it with my own eyes. So my camera picked up one thing. I picked up something a little bit differently. I was just like stunned, and it was getting bigger and smaller, bigger and smaller. And then, you know, that happened. And then, you know, a year later, the July 4th thing happened between JP and I. And, you know, then it's come back to me sort of a few times, you know. So it's, you know, like I was emailing with you guys. I'm like, I don't know, they're watching us or something's watching, or you know, you guys have touched on a couple of different things on the show. Like maybe it's that's my sort of. I'm not that great of a drawer, but that's my sketch right there of like me sketching what I kind of saw that night and in that image there.
Yeah.
So you sketched it out here. Okay, dude. Yeah, this is
Yeah,
awesome.
it was a freeze frame, and then you know, I just sketched the image. I just threw some stuff in there. But,
dude.
so that was the Montauk thing, and that was
awesome.
And
it was wild.
And you and your buddy saw the same thing at the same time. Both took, or did he take a video? He took a video of it as well.
He took a video of it, so that's also in that carousel. It says LF on July 4th, and then it says JP July 4th.
Yeah,
and we threw those two videos in there because it's just, I mean, that's what I think the phenomenon does. You know, it triangulates us. You know.
Yeah, dude.
It's like it kind of showed itself to the both of us, and now we got back together. Now we have a show together. You know, it's just it's wild.
Dude, we had an incident where I was at a restaurant and I saw almost the same thing that flew over my house, flew over us at the restaurant. As I'm walking in the restaurant, I'm getting ready to sit down. I'm like about to text Ben. And as soon as I'm about to hit send, he texts me and is like, dude, we just saw this crazy thing over the house, like literally at the same time.
The way it works, man.
Miles apart. And it was heading the same direction that he was at.
Yeah.
And dude, it was insane.
And my buddy grabbed.
That was the cat point.
Yeah, dude. And my buddy that I was at his house.
It's gonna be there any second. You know, it just got me.
Right.
You know, serving us or whatever. Who knows?
Who
knows, right? I mean, it's like, you know, we're in this field, we're doing our thing. I'm researching the hell out of everything, and I'm you know, reading up on this and that and whatever you kind of latch onto. But who has answers? You know, it's just like that is just bizarre. Yeah. It's strange. We're going to talk about it, you know, and we're it's incumbent upon us to kind of bring out the message. You know, I mean, for me, it's been very positive. You know, all of it. You know, and now meeting you all, so it's been great. It's been great.
Hell yeah, man.
So how do you feel about the lore just in general surrounding Montauk?
I'm pretty into it. You know, it's kind of cool. My son's sort of old enough now to watch Stranger Things. So we're leaving for Montauk in 3 days. And he just called me actually before the show, and he's just rattling off. He was like, "God, I'm on episode 8." I'm like, "Well, I thought we were watching this together." He just tore through like 4 episodes, and you know, we're going out to Montauk, and of course, I mean, I'd love like more of Hawkins energy base and stuff like that, but I don't know that they're gonna let me in. But you know, I'm gonna drive by and just you know, maybe that's where that orb came from. I mean, you know, there's so many phenomenal things that go on with Montauk, and you know, from the Montauk Project, which, you know, I'm sure, you know, most researchers have heard about that. I mean, it's just, it's nuts, you know, and that there's this sort of, maybe there's some sort of dimensional shift out there out on Long Island, you know, and maybe that energy, and it all has to do with energy, right? So I think we know where the core is. So I don't know if, I think they kind of, the cops did it on the show Stranger Things. Like they showed up and like, come on, can you kind of help us out and just let us in? I mean, I'd love to get a tour of that place, man. You know what I mean? But,
it'd be pretty awesome. That's for sure. I mean, they're going to be like, yeah, nothing's here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
But you got to go under it.
Yeah.
That's where the good stuff is, under it, where you can't.
We know something's going on. You know, there's too many weird things that have happened here, like over 100 years, right? I mean, there's so much, you know, So,
Dude, I have a question, Larry. So were
yeah.
you into this subject like at all before this thing happened to you? Like,
I was.
yeah.
I was. But I went from being sort of in the subject to I want to say after 2019, the only content that I consumed was, documentaries and everything UFO. I would not watch natural content ever again. Nothing interested me anymore. And then I just see these little sort of like niblets of like things that would happen in each one of like these documentaries that I would see that I kind of can relate to in some way. And it just broadened my mind. And then, I'm as educated as you can be, I guess, on YouTube and, Amazon and whatever else is out there where you can get this
Yeah.
kind of content, right? But I mean, it's kind of wild. Like, there's a lot of stuff out there, and it's all based on, it's all based on fact in most instances. Like something happened, sure, and then there's interpretation to it, right? But it's how you interpret it. And then, between us here, I mean, it changed my perspective forever when I saw that orb, and it getting bigger and smaller and kind of viewing us. Or I think that one of you guys had touched on it. Like maybe it's like I don't know, like printing or like doing like picking up, historical information and then off it goes. It's a probe of some kind. Who knows? Who knows? And I kind of latched on to everything like orb based. And then in the podcast, AP was kind of poking me on all the triangle UFOs and stuff like that, and I was just kind of like, I don't know that I'm ready for that yet. I'm like, UFOs aren't triangles, man. They're orbs, man. Don't you know? And then he showed me some really cool stuff. And I'm sure you guys have viewed it, but I mean, we get a lot of cool stuff sent our way and a lot of cool links and everything like that. And
Yeah.
I mean, triangles too. It's like
Yeah,
wild.
and they seem to like kind of change with the generations. 1800s was flying airships, and then you get into the 1900s, and it's like, oh, well, now there's these saucer shaped things, right? And then a little bit further down the line, and you start seeing the triangles, and then now we're into this tic tac thing. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, are we just are even the orbs, like, are we just picking something to focus on, or are they showing up in these specific shapes and objects, weird objects, for a reason? Like,
I think that there's multiple things going on. I think that there's a bit of they are definitely trying to the phenomenon's peering its head out, and it wants certain people to view it. And I think once that we're open mind to it, whatever, we sort of like it's sort of like they gave us the keys to that, right? But then there's other stuff that I think that we just caught, like that whole Tic Tac incident, the mothership under the water, and whatever that was, and that defying physics, probably to take off like shit. That we didn't want them to see that one. Let's go give them some more fun orbs over their homes and stuff like that, and get them away from the sea. It's like who knows? I think we're catching some stuff, and then our cameras now. I mean, I saw something. I can't even explain what it was the other night. I saw it over my mother's house, so I filmed the whole thing. I got over a minute of footage. It's just wild. I could share that with you, but it's a couple of megabytes. And it's just just wild.
Yeah, and it's important too, man. Like, just, I mean, we said this a million times on the show. Like, go outside and look up.
That's all you got to do, man.
Just look up and look
just
up.
Keep an open mind and look up. Keep an open mind, like, because it's amazing when you meet people, and you don't just offer that, like, right when you have start the conversation with somebody new. I mean, unless we're like at one of our powwows or something like that, of course, we all are that breed, if you would, right? But it's kind of like you gotta just say to them, everybody, it's just keep an open mind, but you meet those people that are just like, it's an absolute never. No, you're stupid because you believe in UFOs and never. Well, it's a lot bigger than that, actually. This is an experience. This is life. This is kind of a new perspective on things. And hey, like I've said, in the past, it's kind of like, I feel like all the stuff that we grew up on and all these laws, and then there's physics and everything. I mean, they left out the biggest part. It's the quantum physics part. That's actually the combination that applies all the different frequencies to everything that we've learned, where it kind of will all really start to make sense when we start, diving our heads, diving into the phenomenon a little harder, like we have been. So
it's wild, man. I mean, you go outside and you look up, and you occasionally will catch something pretty neat looking. And the first time that me and Ben actually got to look through the military grade night vision goggles,
yeah,
you go from looking up and you're like, okay, that's cool. we've
Yeah.
seen like maybe one or two things,
That-
and then you put the goggles on, and it's just like a sea of shit floating in the air and going different directions.
Yeah, I
and not
gotta
always in
tell
a
you.
straight line. It's wild.
Right. I got to tell you, right here, I Dan the Man, that episode, right when he did that. So picked one of those babies up that he had.
Yes,
Like,
dude.
literally. So when JP and I kind of decided to do this thing, I went online and there were 2 of those left. I grabbed both those night vision cameras and I bought one for him as a gift to start our podcast together. Now we both have the night vision cameras, that are amazing.
Yes,
I mean, it's amazing. You will always see something. I promise you. And
yeah, the night vision is a game changer, man.
these things are awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like a hunting feature, like where like you could just set it and like turn it on, and then it'll do loops for you. It'll just do like 5-minute loops. You could even change the interval, so you can kind of go back and like it's almost like you could let it just play sort of on like a clear night. And, like you're gonna. I picked up some weird stuff, man.
So you set it on a tripod and just let it record, or
I bought this like it's called an octopus, and literally you just it actually can hang on stuff too. You can put it on a pipe, you can do whatever you want with it. The legs kind of come apart,
That's
and
cool.
I wear it on my neck. It depends on what we're doing.
Hey, I like that hat, dude.
Yeah, that's a nice hat back
That's
there.
a nice hat.
Oh, a little
dude.
swag.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude.
I like
Yeah,
that.
man. Always lending support.
Speaking of clothing items, your shirt has been a huge hit in the chat, and
Okay.
it's been waiting.
I
to
actually
say
just
something about
I just came from intercourse in many ways.
Yes.
We took the family to a little 3-day getaway. We went to actually Dutch Wonderland, which is in Pennsylvania, and name of the town is Intercourse, and it's just part of Pennsylvania. So I love the T-shirt. I had to grab it.
So it's a town called Intercourse.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so dope.
Right outside Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's actually Amish country there, which is pretty wild. And I kind of like that my kids can kind of see that perspective, because the Amish are a totally different breed, man. They kind of stick to their guns. There's no electricity. There's they farm. Once they get married, they grow this really wild beard that just comes down off the chin and stuff. They're really true to their school, man. And then there's the other side of the Amish, which is a little bit more up north, I think. They're called Mennonites, and they're allowed to use electricity and stuff like that. So, but it was cool, man. We did the horse-drawn buggy rides and everything, and went through Pennsylvania. Ate a bunch of ice cream.
That's awesome.
And it was a nice little getaway, not too far. So.
I used to work with a guy who used to live in a Mennonite community. Like he was totally Amish, and he was like, yeah. When I was a kid, I was Amish, and then I got to kind of go out and see the world. And when I left, I never went back home. He ended up just following the Grateful Dead around for a few years, and he was like, "Yep, I joined the military, and then I followed the Grateful Dead around." You remember Old Man John?
Old Man John.
You used to work with him. He worked at that kitchen.
Yeah.
He used to be Amish.
What?
And then he left the community and followed the dead around for years.
Dude, you also
it's tough to go back to that, community after that, man. It's
I
like,
bet.
Also, Totally Amish sounds like an MTV TV show from the early 2000s. Totally Amish, dude.
You ever see that? What was it? The Amish Mafia show that they had on TLC or whatever?
What? No.
It was a trip. It's so weird.
That's dope, dude. Amish party, dude.
Amish party.
Party.
Yeah. Everybody we met was mad cool. So yeah.
Dude.
Really cool.
Yeah.
That's what's up,
dude. So we were talking about once you're open to this stuff and you do see something in the sky, what was your experience of I know you said it was pretty tough, not being able to talk about it, but did you have trouble explaining what you saw, and other people that were there with you that saw the same thing, did they have a totally different reaction to it?
Yeah, a majority of the people didn't see the same thing. They were kind of just I'm like, look, this is the version that my iPhone has picked up, but that's not what happened. That's kind of what, hey, it takes a lot for somebody like me to pick up a pencil and start sketching and stuff. I just don't have any artistic ability, but I'm like, have to show you what this looks like. So I kind of took my time and just, use my eraser a bunch. But hey, that's how I draw with pencil sometimes if I do draw. And I kind of just created, that image on how it came to life for me. Like that's why I actually call that image bingo, because along the flight and along the trajectory, I mean, I studied every single frame for hours and hours and hours, just like looking at it, trying to make sense of it, convincing myself that it was something else. And every single time I go back to the video, no matter what, like even when we first started talking and there was potential there, like maybe, hey, maybe you hit me up, we come on the show, everything like that. I would get nervous and then go back to the video and be like, is that okay? No, that's exactly what it is. It's a UFO. And then it happened again. And then it happened, it happened to me 3 more times.
Dude, so tell us about those other times that it happened. Like, what,
Yeah,
similar
the other
scenario?
time that the second time that it happened to me, it was very strange, but something happened that like came over me. I was going on vacation, maybe like at the very beginning of the pandemic. So this was like right in like March, of like 20, right around then, right. And we're packing up. We're going to North Carolina, and I was outside, and I just kind of get this kind of like feeling, man. It's not, and it's not bad. It's like I kind of touched on it a little bit on the podcast. It's kind of like this energy, like field is out there. I feel like we're being sort of watched or whatever it is. It's not bad, but I don't think they can come down here, kind of thing, whatever. And I tried to explain that to my wife a bunch of times. It doesn't go over too well, but finally I have her support. But anyway, what I'm saying is I see this object, and it's an orb, and it just does its thing and it moves. So that kind of letting me know that it's that. I'm like, my phone. I'm freaking out. I can't find my phone. I find my phone, and my phone's like dead. So I'm like frantically running upstairs to get my wife's phone. I'm like, babe, and she's like, what's going on? What's going on? I grab her phone, run outside, and I missed it. Like it was gone. And I got the exact opposite feeling of what I would normally get in that instance. I got this really calming feeling going, what are you worried about? We're right here.
Yeah.
Like what we're right here, and you have absolutely nothing to worry about. We just kind of drove by to, or whatever it was, gave me this calming feeling that I was just like, I came back in the house. My wife's like, well, you're kind of chip or whatever. I'm like, let's back up. Let's go to North Carolina. Get out of here. What, you're not freaking out? Because originally I'm like, that's the second video. It's going to justify the first. It makes me not crazy. I'm like, this is money. But then all of a sudden, that was just washed away. And that's the way I am about a lot of things.
Yeah.
Never felt calmer in my life. And lo and behold, later on that year, fast forward to July, look what happened. I saw two separate orbs that I videotaped, and it was very similar to the one that I saw out in Montauk. And I put those together, and we kind of analyzed it through our lens, if you would. And it was the same object, man. It came back. So it's just wild.
That feeling is interesting, because when I tell my story about the orb flying over my house, the part of the story I never really get into is like, I talk about this strobe light that I see, down the road, and I'm just curious about it. But the thing is that I looked at that strobe light out my window for a couple hours, and for some reason I just kept going out and looking out my window at that, and it just bugged me. Like I knew that wasn't a UFO. Like I knew I knew it was a light of some kind. I knew it was a strobe. I didn't exactly know where it was, but it bugged me. Like it just bugged me so bad that I had to go in my car and just go look at it, right? And as soon as I park my car, boom, this thing flies right over us and disappears over my house, right? And it's like, when I think back on it, it's like, man, those previous couple hours, like, were really annoying. Like for some reason, it was like something was telling me go outside, and for whatever reason, it was the first day that this little strobe light was on. Like, I just figured, oh, construction, something going on at the park. I live next to a park, and like I knew exactly what it was before I even went and looked at it. But it just bugged me so bad that I had to get in my car, go look at it. I looked at it, said, strobe light. That's exactly what I thought it was for the past couple hours. And just get home, park the car, and boom, there's this massive orb that flies over my house. And it's you always hear about people getting that feeling to like just go outside and look up. And I never put the two together, because my feeling wasn't go outside and look up. My feeling was like, hey, just go outside, right? It was just something that was bugging me. And it was just like, yeah, I mean, the feeling is real, whatever it is.
No doubt.
The feeling's
No doubt.
real.
So how did you feel after that happened? I mean, after you saw it and everything.
I felt like I was given a gift. Not like a physical gift or like a mental gift or anything, but it was almost like, hey, here you go. Here you go. And it didn't freak me out. My wife was there. She didn't freak out either. We looked at it. We're like, well, maybe that's a satellite. Definitely was not a satellite, man. We were just coming up with stuff just like you to just think that, what is that other than what we think it is? You know what I'm saying? You just try and come up with all the possibilities, and none of them make sense. But I mean, yeah, you saw it. I felt good. I felt like I was given a gift. I slept great that night. I didn't really dwell on it too much, but
it checked a nice box for you too, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's not a day that goes by that I don't just think about that little memory, whether it be like a second or like I really ponder on it. Like, but not a day goes by where I don't think about that,
Yeah, totally.
And it's just,
I'm with you.
It's something just, it's like a video that's just burned into your mind.
Yeah.
And you can recall it whenever you want,
Yeah, there's the audio portion of the 46 that I call it in Montauk. And there's a song that the resort was just playing over the speakers. And when I hear that song, I get the chills from the top of my hair starts to stick up all the way down my back every time that you play that video. And it brings me there.
Yeah.
Because the music has a lot to do with how it's like part of the frequency of whatever happened there that night, that feeling, that whole experience. It's part of the loop, it's part of that circle. And it brings me back there every time, and it's a good feeling. I'm always smiling, and it's positive, and it's great, So I feel like there's like such a good side to this whole thing, and it just being open-minded, I think really can kind of bring it home, man. And I think if we weren't open-minded, I don't think it would appear its head at you. So, it's just the way it goes. I think that I don't know if we were chosen to see this stuff, but there's certainly, I don't know if there's an agenda out there. I don't know. I don't have the answers. So it's like, you kind of get to this space. It's like, you guys got a kick-ass podcast. I'm getting in the field and all this stuff, but like nobody handed me a scroll, and it said, this is what, we are here to help, or,
Yeah.
With none of that. It's just, we're being observed. We observe back. One of the fun things I did, because I was losing my mind, and like I'd show that video to a couple of people, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, my brother-in-law does that all the time." I'm like, okay, I appreciate that. No, it was not a Chinese lantern, but I actually went online. I found videos of Chinese lanterns, and I have a funny story that I've tried for a couple of years now to launch a Chinese lantern myself, to take a video of it, and we've failed miserably every time. I've never gotten one in the air. It's gone into the water. It's been like destroyed. I bought like 10 of them. I like wrecked the thing out in Montauk last year, just literally trying to film it myself. So I failed at that. But I actually took other videos of people that had a similar camera, similar trajectory, and I put the two videos side by side. And on my website, I kind of do this whole evaluation of it. That I'm showing metallic properties and metallic features that are consistent with my dog Dexter's bull, who's around here somewhere.
Dexter.
Yeah, and Dexter Morgan, and I show the similarities there, and then also show the similarities that are there between a Chinese lantern and that of the silver bowl, and there's no metallic qualities. It's matte. It's a matte finish versus specular and metallic, which is what I saw, and we have proof of, and it's in the video. So I'm like, so there, all you Chinese lantern people.
Yeah.
But but it kind of like that. I needed to do that because I not that I wanted to debunk it. I needed the reality of it to really just kind of, I needed to kind of close the loop on it. If you know what I mean.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
We had, when we were talking to Bree and Jamie, we were talking about like how almost it's like the burden of having to like prove yourself to people all the time and having to like explain yourself to people all the time. Like, I feel like we've almost gotten to the point, like, to where like, you know what? It was an experience that we had. There's like-minded people. We're all over the place. Obviously, more and more people are starting to talk about it. It's becoming a hot button topic for sure. It's almost gotten to the point to where, like, look, I don't have to prove, I don't really have to explain myself to you anymore, or like prove myself to you anymore. Like, we know what we have.
We're there now,
Yeah, yeah. And as long as
other, at least, which is refreshing.
Exactly. As long as you do your due diligence, like as you have, you've gone through videos frame by frame, you've tried to explain it as something else. You can't, I mean, that's the best you can do. We're not, funded scientists, or, we don't have like,
no doubt. And
college.
we're not trying to stuff it down anybody's throat either. It's kind of just like, hey, we have these experiences. They're real as hell, and it means a lot to us, and together in the community, at least, it's just, it's kind of it's a really nice place to be. I think we represent, what is it, like maybe the number's grown now, but I mean, it's like we represent 16% of the whole community of people that actually saw UFOs, and it's a growing number. And but it's amazing though, the more you talk to people, it's like once you kind of, if it's not a crowd and it's just that person one-on-one, everybody has sort of an experience. They're just like, this is one time. Wait a second, and all of a sudden they break it down and they're like, all right, check this out. And they lay it on you. You're the specialist now, right? Like,
yep.
All right, that's amazing. Don't know what that was, but keep the faith and keep it up and keep an open mind. You know what I mean? Don't forget to look up. That's what I do. And you keep it positive, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of odd too, because like, since we've started doing this show, I know Ben has had this experience too, but there's people that I've known my entire life, right, that we've never discussed UFOs or anything like that. But like, now that they know that we do the show and like what we do and stuff, they're like, hey, let me tell you about this. And it's just the most random people, you know. After doing this show, I found out that my dad has had a couple strange experiences. I found out that my grandfather has had like a wild, like he saw something like big and like physical up in the sky. Like, it's just strange because we've never had those conversations. And it's crazy that somebody like family that's that close, you just never talk about it, right? I do remember driving in the car as like a little kid. My dad's driving, and he would listen to Art Bell back in the day, and like Coast to Coast and stuff like that. And he did a lot of like rodeo stuff, and we moved a lot. He was a military guy, so there was a lot of late night travels and things like that we would do. He worked with bands, he managed bands for a long time, and so we did a lot of like late night traveling. And it wasn't until really I got older, and we started doing this show, that I started thinking back to all those times, like, that's weird. My dad would listen to these types of shows, but we never had these conversations. And then it wasn't until we started doing the show that he was like, hey, I've had some pretty crazy experiences. Let me tell you about this. Tell me what you think. And it's like, holy shit, I've known you for 33 years of my life, and we've never talked about this, and you're my dad. Right.
Well, think about it, Joe. It's like he's of that generation where it was just like, you're alienated, man. Like, you're not like, it wasn't, that stigma was freaking popping, like it wasn't, you're that weird alien guy or UFO guy. And like, you saw something, whatever, like, stop talking about that, because there's no way that that's real. That's part of that culture, and that's part of that, what, 2 decades ago, whatever it was. Look at how much has changed now. You got mainstream media, they're talking about, and they finally throwing up their hands, going, "Yeah, we don't know what that is." It's like, whoa, thank you for admitting that finally.
Yeah.
What else you got? Because that report sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else you got,
Yeah.
man?
And it's crazy because we don't know what it is either.
Yeah, we've
Right?
seen shit. We still don't know what it is.
But we do have like we have stories. We have some photo evidence, some video evidence. Some of it's great, some of it's not so great. But I think there's enough people that have had these types of experiences, and we've been able to kind of cross-check it and like put our own experiences together to say, like, look, we don't exactly know what it is, but here we go. We're kind of putting the pin on it now. Like we've there's a lot of similarities between a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
And now that we are getting out of that generation where like you're crazy for believing in UFOs and aliens and stuff, like it's just it's kind of nice because it's turning into like more like, oh, you don't believe in it? Well, you're the kind of the crazy one now, right? Like, what do you like?
Refreshing. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah. What are you waiting around for? Like, you're just saying like, oh, I don't believe in air because I can't see it. Okay. Well, what?
Okay.
What
I mean, that's a good point. That's a good point. Like, oh, there's no oxygen. I can't see it. Well, you're breathing it.
Yeah. Sorry. But yeah, I mean, there's also stories where there's like a group of 5 people. 3 of them see a craft. 2 of them don't see anything. They only see the sky. Why is it that 3 people can see this thing, but 2 people don't even notice it? Right?
Yeah, that's kind of like I was, sort of touching on that a little bit earlier. Is that I think that it really is about a frequency, and it's like things happen dimensionally where like you could be with a group of people and we're all from all walks of life, right? But unless you're number one, it's like this. Ben, I sent you an email about this a long time ago. I'm like, this is what's got to happen. What I forget it. I forget exactly what I said, whatever. But it all kind of dials into the right frequency. It starts with keeping an open mind. It starts with just allowing yourself to believe it. But then it's like we are all wired very differently. We're from different walks of life. We're genetically we're made differently. We're not from there could be other parts of the earth that were made from really originally. Who really knows? And there's little bits and pieces of all that. Our eyes, sure, we're all looking at something. I mean, I tend to be colorblind according to some people, but no, maybe all of you are colorblind. But it's like we see certain things and we're dialed in a certain way, I believe. Where let's just say there was 10 people and the 3 of us were standing there. Maybe the 3 of us see something. It's like, what? You people are all crazy, and they're like, there's those UFO guys again, whatever. That was a lamp, and they go off, and it's it's whatever. But I believe it has to do with frequency, and literally it could change with anything. I mean, the weather, and anything kind of changes the dynamics of that, which I think is there's a lot of dimensional shifts going on out there, especially in this day and age, and it kind of opens up some things for the people that can see. Again, you got to keep that open mind.
Yeah, I am a strong believer that it has something to do with frequency for sure, and consciousness, and there's got to be a reason why there's so many people out there that are curious and infatuated with this subject, even people that haven't had an experience that want to know the truth. And something about going down that journey, if you really take that deep dive and start learning and listening to other people talk about it, all of a sudden it starts happening to you, and like you just unlock this code, man. Like what? So just speaking on the idea of frequency, it made me think. Somebody in the chat had asked about. I think you done an episode on Project Bluebeam. Is that something that might be like maybe not a projection in the sky? Maybe it's a projection of frequency in the brain to see something, to project it into your mind. Maybe it's something like that. Like
it might be. That would be like some really freaking high tech trigger if they're at that point. And I say they a lot, which is I just believe there's this whole society of technological advanced. Let's call it. I don't know. I don't want to say the.
Wait, I want to hear what your thing is. Yeah.
No, like I mean, the government / whatever. A lot of these acronyms that are out there, right? And it's like we spend trillions of dollars. It's like, okay, do you really think that we haven't been to space in 75 years? Whatever. It's like, I mean, it's just kind of wild,
So like where did you guys land on the Project Bluebeam stuff?
Where that, I actually was listening to that a little bit on What If had a couple of mentions about Blue Beam and everything,
Okay.
right? So we kind of moved through three of our original episodes, right? And then we got into what we called was the real reveal, which is episode 4A and 4B. And then in episode 4B, we get into some of the holograms and stuff like that on what's kind of happening out there and some of the wacky stuff that had been picked up, whether it's TikTok or anything else. But there's literally like these holograms, and one of them, I think it was like it was one of the politicians or governors or something like that in New Mexico, and he swears that there was this UFO sighting, but he saw a beam of light first, and then the UFO appeared. And then I'm just like, is anybody just picking up on the fact that there's like these lenticular clouds that are always sort of around in that time, or it's a little bit misty out and a little bit hazy, that there's always sort of clouds, which I think that potentially there is the technology to beam something into the air, and it latches onto the atmosphere because it's a little bit foggy or whatever it is, and literally can use it as a backdrop of anything that they want. And if you look at the carousel, there's a couple of holograms that are there. Like there's this giant demon walking, and that was from China. Like, I mean, there's a reason why our media is just shut off from China. We can't see anything. I'm like, that's them. They're putting that out there, and they're freaking torturing their people. There's people, women are screaming for their lives, running through the streets because they see a giant demon. They're like, that way, click, and then they take down the demon. And I think that could be a hologram or a projection of some kind based on this technology. Maybe the cloud is sort of a backdrop, and they freaking figured out a way to broadcast this stuff.
So do you guys know anything about like, and maybe I could be wrong, but I think it was a Bill Gates an initiative or proposal to cloud seed our atmosphere with like these really fine aluminum particles that would protect ourselves from like solar flares or something like that, or that the sun is starting to get way more intense, so we've got to like start filling our atmosphere with reflective material because our ozone layer is like disappearing.
I kind of have a bit of a theory on that too, because I have well, like I said, don't forget to look up, right? Well, one of the things that I invested in, it was actually during the pandemic, and I'm losing my mind at home, and prices dropped on everything. So I bought myself a telescope. Like, it's a kick-ass telescope. I bought a Celestron, like the 8SE version of it.
Hell yeah.
And talking to the guys, they dropped the cost way down. I like picked it off for the price of what the 6 was. It's like, sure, why not? And I got that, set it up at the house. I mean, the thing's awesome. You could literally put your phone right inside. You go slide it right in, and like once you catch the right, anything, like it literally, you could dial in digitally on it, and it'll go through the constellation for you, and it'll show you every single star. It'll show you every single planet. It'll just go on a planet show for you.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Those are awesome.
I got one day we're gonna have to hook up, and I got to show you some of the stuff I got. I got a lot of toys and stuff around the field that kind of can help me, look through a different lens, if you would. So that being said, I got that telescope, right? So I've been sort of observing the sky. So I've seen a lot of stuff up there since I've been looking up, not just UFO related, but just like, what the F is this? Then I'm on Long Island, where I live, and I started noticing these patterns, and I started noticing some really wild stuff. And it was just the same thing like every day. If you got a really sunny day and it's blue skies, all of a sudden, boom, it's like a sonic rocket is shot from all the way over west. I'm not sure exactly where. And it zips across the sky, and it leaves a white trail. And then throughout the day, you see these freaking gigantic, they got to be 767s or whatever they are. They're way up, and they are barreling out this fog and this mist outside of it, right?
Yeah.
And it goes across. And I believe that the rocket or that first, airline or whatever it is, it could be a military vehicle. I couldn't see that high, I believe that it actually drops out these particles, and it kind of shakes out this like sort of mist where it makes some of the other planes sort of invisible, where they can kind of fly through it also. And then they fly this way. So they're going across, and then the beams kind of like the fog kind of crisscrosses over, and then it kind of becomes like a blanket.
Yeah.
And I think my theory is that we may have fucked up this planet so badly by way of like the atmosphere and stuff like that, that they have to create this net over Long Island, or they're at least testing it to kind of block the sun so that it's not 110 degrees out, and that we're like literally getting it. So, and I'm like, it's just beyond coincidence. And then The next day, blue sky, same thing happened. And then again and again and again. And then like my son's like, Dad, pointing out all the ones like taking off and creating like a net, whatever. I'm like, this is just too. Explain that, please. Somebody explain that to me.
Yeah.
And then you go and you look inside. I forget. I think it's actually even on like Wikipedia. There's sort of like these engines that are on board these ships that matches the fuel with what you were saying, Ben. There's like these particles of aluminum, and it's a reflective coating in there somewhat. Because what's aluminum going to do? Like if you spread it out and the sun hits it, it's going to repel it. It's going to block it to a degree. So I think that it's aiding in maybe a warming situation that could be detrimental to us, you know, in our summer day. You know, just having a normal day.
I know.
So, and that's just from looking up. So like I found something totally different.
Yeah, seriously.
I know when we had Olaf Phillips on the show, he had actually talked about how they did a study that what was it? So after 9/11, how the skies had actually brightened up. I think it was like by 2%. And if we look prior to that, I think he said like, what was it, man? Like from the 50s or the 60s up until current times, it's actually dimmed. The sky it's actually darker outside during the day by like 8%. I think that's what the number was. And then he was talking about that there's an actual patent. It's exactly kind of what you were talking about, how like, yeah, they don't just carry these giant canisters and spray some shit out of the airplane. It's an actual patent that the fuel in the aircraft, you know, creates this mist, and those particulates are in the fuel, and the patent is actually like made so that way these engines can run with these particulates that are in the fuel. And so that's how
it's part of the exhaust. It plumes out of the exhaust.
Exactly. And that's how they do it. And it's on commercial airliners, it's on military aircraft. It's you know, it's a kind of across the board. So all the air traffic that we have, there's the fuel that they use actually uses
creating a blanket for us, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we're onto something here, Joe.
Yeah. Because it's like, it's not wrong that it is contrails, right? Like the difference in humidity and the heat and the atmosphere, the heat coming off of the jet, right? Like it naturally makes clouds, but it also is kind of a chemtrail, man. Like it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Dude, that's creepy, dude. Woo.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat is wanting us to ask about the. Have you seen the video of the shape-shifting UFO that was in Germany?
Oh yeah, it's posted on my site.
Yeah. I thought that's what it was when I.
It's the first video, and it was like it kind of looks like a plane that's flying along, and then all of a sudden, it changes. Ben, if you could grab it right off of Phinnean. It's like the big one in the carousel. It's probably up in that window. I just posted that. I mean, that's out of this world. It's during the day. It's at 30,000 feet, and the guy that took the photo was in like a 747 or something or bigger, like 30,000 feet off the ground, and was just observing this object. And they're like, you know, what do they call it? Like plasma-based object, something crazy like that, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
I wonder if we'll get taken off of YouTube for copyright. But dude, this is insane.
Yeah, what is that?
What is that? Flying at 30,000 feet.
It looks pretty. It looks natural, but it looks like a jellyfish, or
right. But that was just like, it looked like, you know what it looked like? It looked like the space shuttle for like a hot second in the beginning.
Yeah, it's like during the day though. Like, what?
And now that's
and now it looks kind of like a person standing with their arms out a little bit.
Yeah, dude.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean that's completely the other way. It was vertical.
It's a trip,
dude.
It's a trip. You know,
So my thoughts on that, please, Joe, go right ahead. I mean, I don't know.
One interesting thing that Melinda Leslie had said to us when she took us out on the Skywatch was like, there's a certain time where like when you're using the night visions, it's pretty neat because like even though it's dark, the sun is still high enough, you know, on the other side of the earth that you're actually catching the reflection of the light off of these objects. Now she says once you get past a certain time when you see things in the sky, that's when it becomes kind of neat because you're observing these random events in the sky that are happening. and there's no sun to reflect off of these objects, which means that they are self-illuminating objects that are flying through the sky, and that scientists have actually been out there and observed it, and that's what they've called them. They've called them like plasma-based craft or whatever it is. But whatever it is, it's self-illuminating and not in a blinky, flashy airplane light type of way.
Right.
The whole thing is lighting up.
Yeah.
Ooh. And dude, I mean, I don't,
So I don't know, like the orbs. I mean, Joe, like the one, I don't know what what you saw, what I saw. I mean, that was pulsing at one point and getting bigger and small, and then the thing just takes off and does this thing, comes back, does this little dance, but it got bigger and smaller and bigger and smaller.
Yeah.
And that's just, I mean, I don't know that my eye is picking up the right thing there. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's just kind of what I saw. And then my camera caught something, and it looks a little bit different when you look at the video. But I don't know. Was that a plasma-based orb or like who?
With like the
I thought it was energy, but it was red too.
It's the ripples, man. Like the ripples, like it looks like water. Like it's just, I mean, dude, yeah.
Flying very quickly. It's like,
yeah.
And
it's like it's like this, this thing that flew over my house. I mean, it was coming over, and it was like medium speed, like way too slow to be like an aircraft, way too fast to, I don't know, man. Like I even think maybe it was way too slow to be like a satellite too. But when you're observing a satellite and then you see it kind of go over and then it slowly disappears, like off, like not even to the horizon. It slowly disappears because it's out of your view at that point. But this thing, dude, like I'm standing there literally with my head cranked up right in front of my house, and as it gets to my house, it just slowly like whoop disappears.
Yeah.
It didn't go far enough for it to disappear like a satellite, and an airplane doesn't do that. And all the air traffic in my area flies the opposite direction. Mm-hmm. So like whatever that was, and then I catch it on video, and I'm looking at it on video, and it's just rippling, and it's got like this, it's just weird, man. It's so freaking weird.
I think they're alive, man. I think it's a plasma consciousness, dude. It could be like the biblical depictions of angels, man. Who knows?
Yeah,
it could be some life form we just don't know about, dude. I don't know.
Totally. Right. I mean, it could be. I don't know. It's like it depends on how religious you are, where your higher power is, all that. I mean, I don't know, but like my wife even said it to me once because she looked at the video a million times too, and she's like, "What if it's a spirit, or what if it's something like." You know what? Somebody met Mawat. Samantha Mawat.
Oh yeah,
she. Yeah, I'd love to hug over her sometime. I have a lot of questions for her. But one of the things that she mentioned was that she's like, what? And she's fast too. Like she talks very quickly, right? So I kind of went back on it because it was about an orb, and she said, maybe it's a fetus of some kind. And like it kind of, it had been born and kind of was traveling through space and kind of just drifting off to wherever it needs to go, to this nebulous area. And maybe it came out of the sea or something like that. And I might be embellishing too much, but she definitely like grabbed onto it. I was like, holy shit. Like I never thought about that either. But to the point, it could be anything. We don't know, but it's definitely not operating normally.
Larry, I got to know, what are your thoughts about why the interest in the ocean and why these, we have USOs, we have the Tic Tac incident, we have this, the Montauk incident. I mean, the beach was not far away. What do you think? What's going on in the ocean?
If you're going to hide from society, 90% of the globe is covered in water, right? I mean, and I don't even know that we can see the whole map either, but that's a whole nother episode. So
love that. I'm definitely on that.
And I gotta figure out how to show this thing. I have this like table that's this giant medallion, and it's sort of like it was like one thing that my dad, like years and years and years ago, and then like my mom loves to throw stuff out. Everybody throws stuff out. My dad passed over 20 years ago. But one of the things he always said is like, don't ever get rid of that table. And I just use it as a coffee table. Now I realize that it's like kind of in Latin and is inscribed all over it, all the different locations. and it's the entire globe. It's the entire Earth, and it's like etched in stone. It's all like etched into the marble. It's all cut out. So it's almost like if you were to take like wax paper and put it over it, and like take one of those like a crayon and go like this, I could hold it up. But it's this crazy medallion that has all different parts of the world, and I think we're being served something a little bit different from what that medallion portrays, which I believe was either sculpted or made like in the late 1800s or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, hey, maybe our mapping skills are a little better now. We got a little better aerial bird's eye view or whatever. You know, we've got satellites, we've got planes, we've got a lot of things developed since then. But however, this is broken down to the latitude and the longitude of like every single continent and like where it is in relationship to each other. And it's a lot different from where we are today. So I kind of don't know that we're seeing all of that. And I think there are a lot of areas that are sort of beyond off limits. Like we're just not going to tell you about a lot of things, and a lot of things that we're not going to tell you about, we're going to put them over here. So there could be islands, there could be lots of things. Maybe it's maybe it's the crying out loud. I don't know, but there's a lot of things out in the ocean where there's a lot of free space, and it's not like you and I can just pick up tomorrow and go there. It's kind of like
Yeah.
I think if they were going to hide and they were going to do something real well and covert and discreet, and if there are ships that can travel at insane velocities that are unknown to our physics, maybe quantum physics can gain an understanding of them. And they're transmedium traveling. We've caught them doing this. They're going to be down there, and they're going to be far away from our eye. Like, okay, they're picking up too many UFOs in the sky now. Let's just go down there. They don't got fucking submarines. So, you know what I mean? It's like, or do we? But, so I think that there's a lot to think about there. But I think that that's really if we had to hide something, I don't know. I think I'd be building a base underwater,
Have you guys heard of the name of it is blanking in my head, but there's two stories that connect, and it's about this ancient part of the world, this continent that was a part of Russia, and they had a name for it. If anybody in the chat can think of it, or if anybody else thinks of it, let me know. But it's like this whole kingdom that used to exist, and you could see it in a couple of really old books and texts and maps. Like it has a specific name to it. It's like Presbyteria or something like that. And I made a connection the other day. There's this story of this time traveler that showed up at this airport, and they're like trying to get his ID, and I guess they got him on the way out, and he was like, "Where am I? I don't recognize anything." As he's getting off this plane, and he's like, "Okay, so here's my ID. I'm from this place, that same name." I don't think it's Tasmania. Thank you for that, though. Man, it's something close though. But he's like, he has this ID with the name on his ID, and he could show you on a map where it is on the continent, but the city doesn't exist. Not the continent, the country doesn't exist. Like never existed apparently. And then they go and try to kind of contain him for a while, and they're trying to figure this out, and he's gone when they go back into whatever room he was in. So it was like Tartaria. Thank you. Yes. Oh, Dave. Yes. Yes. Tartaria, dude. If y'all haven't heard about that, you should look it up. It's pretty trippy. Think about this, man. Like if there's a continent somewhere on Earth that we just can't, like, we don't know about, like maybe it's somewhere in the middle of the Atlantic, dude. Like where you could see the globe and it's just water. Like if you ever play with Google Earth, and dude, there could be a landmass out there, man. We don't know. Have you been out there?
Absolutely.
Do you
that's where they're all hanging out, man.
They're all hanging out there.
Oh man, they're watching right now too, I'm sure. Like, yeah, they're kind of figuring it out.
They're getting close.
Yeah.
Those dudes on UFO Garage.
They're cracking the case.
Cracking the case.
Yeah. Hey, be surprised, man. Listen, we've seen some pretty phenomenal shit, right, guys? But it's like, hey, you start slapping it with some common sense. I mean, that's kind of the way I roll through my explanations. It's just like, hey, I don't really know the answers, but I could tell you this. That shit ain't right, or wasn't what we were taught.
Yeah,
it's definitely different. So.
Dude, so what do you think's next, man? With all this happening, what do you think's next? Does it feel like something big's coming, or do you think maybe it's
I think that we're gonna? I do feel like something's big is coming, and that's kind of like where JP and I get into what we're calling the real reveal, you know. And I think that the holograms, if you look at episode 4, like what they're capable of doing now, I mean, they've got like celebrities are on stage with each other, but they're not even on stage with each other anymore. It's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
this is really relevant for COVID. You're not going to get any germs that way, you know. And it's like this, there's like, I mean, they literally pop up this green screen and the person disappears, and they were right there. You know, there's like that, and then I show the one video of like the JP actually shot these over to put on our site, and it's like that guy jumps in the box, and it's just like he's standing right there, and it's like you could put him anywhere. You could put that guy anywhere. So it's kind of like, you know, I think that there is going to be something next. You know, but as far as like what we're being told by our you know, the acronym society, we'll call it.
Right.
You know, I think that they're figuring out just the right mechanisms that they need to sort of roll out whatever they're going to roll out. And it's about control, you know, because let's just face it, this whole thing, they're going to try to monetize it. They're going to try to control us. And whatever we think, it's going to be either handed to us or not, you know. But thank God you have people like us who are just going to stick to our guns and know what we know and keep doing what we're doing and just keep an open mind and keep it positive and stay real, you know. But who knows what's really coming? I think that there might be a little bit of a hybrid of things going on, and I think that holograms are really going to be a big part of it. I put some other wild videos on our website also that kind of show some of the drone technology and stuff like that, of them coming apart, coming back together, and creating these things in the sky. I mean, you could broadcast anything now. If this is real and they have holograms at that level where, you know, yes, I think that there's natural UFOs and things like that, right? But now there's also this that could be handed to us in any capacity. You know, I mean, in China, they're putting up logos like, I mean, you know, you can get the little you know, the what is it called? The Q mark or whatever. The like that little grid.
Oh, like a Q code. Yeah.
Yeah, Q code, a QR code.
QR code.
Literally put that right into the sky. And it's almost like you could just hold your damn phone up now and you could just get that ad, right? Okay, fine. So it's sort of like, all right, and I did touch on this on one of the podcasts regarding to the holograms too, that it's sort of like, okay, they put this out there, the technology's there. God knows how we really got the technology, right? So it's like, okay, let's go, people. Who's the highest bidder? You know, is the military going to step up and be like, we're going to own this fucking thing? Or this shit's going to Hollywood, sorry. Or it's going to the third parties out there that are really controlling a lot of shit upstairs. Like, you know, who knows? But hey, it's out there. Come on, nibble, bite on that hook. You know, and
zero down, zero APR.
It's up to you. And you know what? You could show whatever you want. The military could take it, and they could focus these holograms around our enemies. They could put them all in one place, situate them, and then bomb the shit out of them, right? And of course, I'm just giving them ideas now, which maybe that's not a great idea. And then you go over to the Hollywood side of things. You know, and you've got like, hey, we could put on a freaking show that's out of this world. You know, that literally it's like magic, and this stuff is all coming together, and it's, you know, and it's beautiful and it's wonderful, and like, hey, here, people, I doubt it, but you know, it's going to be how they're going to monetize. You know, whoever's going to take it is going to try to monetize or control with it, and I believe that the next big thing is the uncovering of holograms and how they kind of fall into place here.
Yeah, dude.
Time crystals.
Time crystals.
Did you me and Joe were just, my wife actually brought it up. She was like, what? Do you guys know about time crystals? And dude, Joe, you had a really good explanation for it. I didn't really understand it, but like, did you see that in the news? The Google created time crystals with like a supercomputer?
I haven't heard about it yet. No.
Dude.
Yeah, apparently it's pretty new. I really don't have an understanding of what it is. I was just kind of spitballing ideas, but
quantum entanglement,
like,
man.
Quantum entanglement, the quantum computer, you know, and how like if you are using a quantum computer, how you have to have it's got to be in an enclosure, and this enclosure actually separates it from the universe. Right, it's quantum,
like a Faraday cage.
It's interacting with everything. So in order for this thing to work, it's got to be in this box, separating it from the universe. And so I was thinking in my head, okay, if this is a supercomputer or a quantum computer, you know, they noticed that there's these little crystals that have developed. I guess they're like atoms that are actually like bouncing, and they're recording information. And so for me, in my head, the way that I put it together is like, okay, so what if we as humans technically are like time crystals, right? We have, time, right, which is kind of it's all a perspective. Time is a perspective, depending on where you are, what you're doing, gravity, this and that. It really doesn't exist. It's different everywhere. But for us, we live in this linear time where we are
Which we
born.
created.
Yeah, we are born, and as we move through life, we are absorbing information. We're storing information ourselves. There's information that is yet to be known in the future because we haven't gotten there yet. But I'm thinking in this quantum realm. I mean, we technically, like, we don't live in the quantum realm, but the quantum realm interacts with us. On a daily basis. So for me, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, the supercomputer, it's put in this box. It can't communicate with the universe, so it created these little atoms that have turned into time crystals. And so in its own little universe, maybe these time crystals are like the birthing of like a human or information, and they are also storing information and recording information, just like we would record information in our own timeline, like as a human, right? And none of that makes any sense. I know, but
no, that's awesome, Joe. I like that.
It's kind of where my head went with the whole thing on, like, yeah, I mean, we are kind of like time crystals. As time goes on, we just store and absorb information, right? And it's just like this thing. It's storing information, but I don't know how Google, the computer, the supercomputer, did it on its own. But I was telling Ben about a story on how, like, I guess Boeing had a quantum computer, supercomputer, and they were working with it, and they were trying to figure out the most efficient skeletal structure for an airplane. Like, what's the most efficient structure to build an airplane, right? And on its own, without even knowing what the animal was, it's never been fed information, this quantum computer came up with the skeleton of a flying squirrel as the most efficient way to fly. And
Wow.
they were like, okay, so that wasn't inputted. It didn't have any information. It doesn't know about animals on Earth, but it went through every possible
And it presented
scenario
that as the solution.
and presented that as the solution.
That's so wild, man.
Meaning that nature itself, in the quantum realm and in the development of a species or in the development of anything, right? It's trying to find the most efficient way to do it.
Yeah.
So that says that the quantum computer is interacting with your everyday life just like nature is. And
Wow.
And that's kind of mind-blowing to me.
No shit. Listen, so kind of on in that vein there, Joe, like, you got something, Ben, you were touching on this maybe like a week ago. And it just dawned on me. I don't remember where I read this, so forgive me if I'm a little bit off. I have like so much useless information in my head.
Same.
You were talking about like molds, and you're talking about being efficient and stuff like that, Joe. Like, I'm telling you, I might have to fact check this, but I'm telling you, there were like scientists, and Japan is so freaking tight, like knit, with the way that it's built, the buildings and the structure, and it's not that big, and it can't handle a lot. They can't screw anything up really if they're going to put together their whole elaborate rail system and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they actually relied on, I believe it was a slime mold. And they took the slime mold and they took it in like the tip of Tokyo, and they put like its food and resources and what it needed to survive at the other side of Tokyo.
Yes.
And the fucking mold ate its way through the most efficient tunnel possible to get to the food. And they're like, that's where the tunnels are going.
Yes.
And they built the underground rail system in Japan based on a fucking mold.
So cool.
Yeah.
I mean, how, like, that's like, it's kind of like the flying squirrel thing here, whatever. It's like, okay, they know the best way, the most efficient way. And if you're not going to, you can't screw it up, it's given to you right there. I mean, how wild, right?
Yeah, it's
I may
wild.
have to fact check that a little bit, guys. Sorry.
I think you're right, though.
Paul Stamets has talked about it, and he's like a fungus expert. Like, that's what he does. He's like the fungus guy, right? And yeah, like Japan designing their entire subway system off of like what this mold or fungus
off of the slime mold's trail.
Yeah. That's insane, dude.
Nuts.
That's insane. And that's man, observing nature and watching the way that it does things is the most efficient. That's what fascinates me about like permaculture. You know, I'm a big permaculture guy, and like we try so hard to make things grow and keep things green and have them do what we want them to do. But then you look at the forest, it's doing just fine. Guess what?
Yeah.
Nobody's mowed that lawn. Nobody's fertilized those trees. Nobody's, there's wild stuff growing everywhere. There's abundance and just amazing stuff happening where humans aren't even touching it.
Yeah.
And we try so hard to shape nature the way we want it to be, because we all, for some reason, want a golf course in our front yard. And most of us don't even play golf. All we're doing is wasting water and space. It doesn't make any sense, right? But, just that observation of nature and what it's doing, like you can just learn so much from that,
Yeah, man. Yeah. Wild stuff.
Hell yeah.
I love it.
Dude, we had some questions in the chat talking about the pyramids. Larry, what do you think, dude? Do you think humans built the pyramids, or do you think what's your take on that? Do you have one?
I mean, I think that they're beyond phenomenal, right? I mean, we all know how they're situated in proximity to each other and how that they got there. I don't know. I don't see how humans could have just built that, even with the best architects that we have. Of our time, of any time, really. There's something missing there. I think that there was some assistance, and maybe whatever help we got to begin as a society, or if that is one of the theories that's true, I think that the dynamics of how those things point to outer space, and how they're all just the proximity to each other in each sort of region, and how they were built and why they were built, I'm not sure, but have something to do with us in general. But I don't think that it was just a simple, nothing was simple about any of the theories with it, right? None of that makes sense to me. I think it was something else.
I definitely think it was some kind of technology that I think we're about to discover it again.
That we did not have.
We did not have.
Right? So yes, it was technology. And no, I don't think we had it. So
dude,
I think we're answering that question there, right, Ben?
Yeah, man. I think there's like a sect of people that have always been looking for that technology, and that's why like ancient Egyptian archaeologists and stuff, they try to like suppress the truth because they don't really want anybody else to figure it out before they do. And like it's just been like this 4,000 year just trying to find the holy grail, which might be like this technology, this lost technology. Man, I just find that so fascinating. Like I just like to hear other people's opinions. Like, I think humans built it, but with technology we just don't have anymore.
Yeah, that's not relevant to us today. Yeah.
Do you listen to any of like Graham Hancock's stuff? He talks about advanced ancient civilizations that possibly could have lived in the past.
Yeah, I have touched on a couple of his things. I have listened here and there, and I feel like it's either civilizations have operated over time and just were either completely wiped out, and we see the remnants of some of them. Because there's no way, right? We're not even there yet on how to design these things, but I don't know. It makes you think for sure. But I think an ancient civilization, definitely. If you check out any of those documentaries, like you look at the Mayans, you look at like some of the Incas, you look at like all the way that these guys, scribe these stuff into the caves and into the walls and stuff like that, and how the things were working. Like, why would they just be making crap up that long ago, and like putting it on the wall and spending that amount of time to make sure that message is coming across to all of us? Like, they're not bullshit artists then, whatever, it could be, it was a totally different society, but they're putting it out there. Those were their books. And look at the shit they built too, by the way. It's like, come on, right? So
yeah, dude. It's interesting, how, they talk about like, okay, yeah, look at our society, look at our culture, look at all of our information. It's all on computers, hard drives, it's technology, right? And if we were to have this massive cataclysmic event happen, all of that, absolutely all of that would be gone. It would be destroyed, right? There might be a place hidden somewhere that has stored information that if something happened to us and a very small amount of the population were to survive, it would take them thousands and thousands and thousands of years to uncover it. The only things that you would find from our current civilization would be shit that we carved into trees or stuff
Right.
that we carved into stone as like, modern man just out on a hike having a good time, and you carve something into a stone. Who's to say something doesn't happen today and then 10,000 years from now the civilization is starting to develop the scientific method again and starting to create these computers again, and some people go out on a hike and they're like, look, this was created by an ancient civilization. Look at these things that we found, some certain buildings and things like that we have today. And they'd be like, there's no way we could have done that 8,000 years ago, right? But we can we can do that. Just something happened that wipes out our entire information system, right?
Either that or they left.
Right? And that's that
you know
break
what I
off.
mean? They're like, hey, they came down here to evolve, right? Or however long it took. Maybe it took a century or more or whatever it was, but they figured out how to get back to wherever it is they needed to get to. But maybe this is a testing ground in some sense, but I think that there's a lot of theories out there that kind of, it could be a combination of things, but it could be one of them, so
I imagine somebody in the thousands of years from now finding like a Tamagotchi in like an old building, and they're like, dude, I promise you this used to be like a teleportation device, and we lost the technology, man. Like it's still working too.
Yeah.
They find a Nokia phone and it'd still be working. Like
yeah, right. I forget what documentary I was watching, but I think that they came across one like in the desert or something like that. They came across like something like a cell phone like esque device, and like we're looking at, and they're like, okay, somebody explain this. It's got like not even numbers on it. There's buttons, and maybe they got to the technology way back when, because they're like, this thing is like 10,000 years old. How? I mean, how? Right? It's like, well, that civilization has left. It's like, they saw the storm coming, or whatever it was, or us, and they were like, we're out.
Yeah, dude, I fully believe that. Yeah, it's like the thing is, like, you could fall into one or two camps, or maybe it can happen at the same time. But the idea that, yeah, there was an ancient civilization that was really highly technologically advanced, and they left. Maybe it's the Anunnaki, but we are definitely descendants of them of some sort, right? Because some people, again, can fall in that category of, are humans aliens? But then you find all these reasons why humans actually do belong here on Earth. Like there's so many reasons that we do fit in with nature. It's like I
think there's a combination of things, man, but I think that there's definitely a bloodline that, either some or all of us, or, just a portion of us, whatever, are tethered to, and I think that this planet is kind of either part of who we are or a part of where we're from to some degree, but I know that a lot through my experiences and stuff like that. So,
dude, I think the bloodline might have something to do with experiencers. Right now, I'm kind of leaning that in that direction. Where like
I think you might be onto something, man. I think they. Like JP says to me, and he said it to me a bunch of times before, like he'll just be listening to me and like shaking his head like, yes, like I can't believe that you think the same way that I think, and he's like, we are divine, bro, and it's just like, it's not normal the way that we're kind of just like, I sort of have this sort of like what I do in business, right? I kind of have this sort of like forensic way of looking at like algorithms, where I kind of get the start and the finish, and then I kind of backfill all the other things in the middle. And luckily I was able to apply it to business, and it got me pretty freaking far, right? It's really difficult for certain people to understand that, but then he'll come to me with these complex situations, and then I kind of map it out for us, and he's just like shaking his head. He's like, how the hell, like the two of us together, we just put this thing together, and it was like, it's like the Oumuamua thing that I told you about, like it's just between he and I, and he's just like shaking his head. He like has this feeling. He's like, bro, he's like, we are divine, there's something else going on, that's kind of peering its head here, or it's either inside us, and it's cultivating, or it's manifesting and it's coming out. But holy shit, this is not normal, and I think we're in for a ride. You know what I mean?
Dude, I think that's like a perfect example of like, soulmates. It's not like a romantic thing. It's like quantum entangled consciousness is always finding each other, man. Like they 100%. Always find each other.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
Exactly the way JP and I kind of operate, man. The way we've been, and like I said, it's kind of like he's always been there, man. Like right next to me. even though, hey, look, we've been here and there, we've been all over the place, but it kind of the serendipity of what happened in that event, brought us back together, and now look at us. Now we're having a fucking ball, man.
Yeah, man.
Kind of cool.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, the fact that you guys had been apart for so long, and then this event happened, and there was like a year, and then you guys started hanging out, doing the podcast. Like,
yeah,
how's your daily life changed like after this experience? Would you say like?
I mean, it's really nice to have somebody to kind of bounce ideas off of finally and everything. I mean, it's like I was emailing you here and there, and like I had mentioned on my podcast, it's like I think my wife's kind of heard enough about it, and she really likes that my hobby is sort of taking this positive sort of turn where I've got stuff to do and people who kind of care and are on our frequency, man. Like, Ben, you're touching on it there, man. There's something going on, some commonality, some common value through us where it's either we're sort of tethered to this bloodline that's either from the planet or, someplace special that's kind of allowing us to not just, first we had to have the open mind, but it's allowing us to kind of communicate. And it might be poking its head out. Those orbs might be coming to take a peek at us, making sure that we're cool, man. Just watching what's going on. Like, okay, you guys good over there? Hey, you guys keep talking about that. We're going to send some info this way. And you keep talking about that. And you guys just keep slowly rolling it out because we tried those other media platforms. Those aren't working out. So it's kind of incumbent upon you guys to get it done. So, hey, here we are, right?
Yeah, man. I've always felt like it's not really up to the media or the government or anybody who's like in charge of things, right? It's up to us.
Yeah,
it's really up
to us. Who was that said that? Alien girl? She was like, "We're the media now, bitches." Whatever, something like that. I was like,
I think it was.
I fucking love this girl.
Love Alien girl,
man. Yeah.
And I really appreciated that too. So she didn't know she struck
for
that.
sure. I mean, speaking of media, though, dude, what are your feelings over this past few months, and like, how are you, like? What are your thoughts on like what's going on like in the mainstream media? I mean, everybody's kind of heard our opinions on it. How do you feel about it, man?
Well, it kind of for me, the way I see this stuff, right? It kind of walks itself back a little bit to what's going on out there, right? So it's technology. So I think that we're in this sort of like, this is how I was explaining it to somebody not too long ago, was that we're sort of in this like Goldilocks phase, right? Like every 2 years, a new iPhone comes out, and the damn thing is so much more capable than the one that was 2 years before it. It's got this whole new operating system, and it's got this whole new thing. And then boom, Samsung has to do the thing. They got like 9 phones, and then there's like one for everybody. And then so that kind of just keeps catapulting, right? I think that in like 20 years, you're going to look back at like now going, holy shit, look at this technological boom here. It's so effing advanced, and the competition is just so raw that all these incredible devices are coming out, and the next iPhone's got to be better than the next one, the next one, the next one. That's like, you don't even realize the amount of technology that we're just freaking holding in our hands,
Yeah.
And what it's capable of, right? So that being said, that in tandem with having our own freaking UFO searching devices and whatever, and these cameras and the night vision and all that stuff, is that we kind of caught up, pretty quick to finding out that there's some pretty, anomalous shit going on out there, right? So in the media and the government, or that acronym committee, we'll call them, right? Whatever, a lot of it. I think that they're kind of like, we got to kind of pinpoint a couple of things, and we got to hand them back. We got to sort of take ownership that we don't know, but keep it safe, and just say, there is some shit going on out there that we just can't put our finger on either, because, hey, look, it's still not explainable. Hopefully it's not too scary, but it's there and it's real. They had to say something. They had to own something. They had to put out that nimble video. They had to kind of, send some stuff out there, But then there's some like really cool shit from like years ago, like what is it? Slim Bob and stuff like that. Like that.
Skinny Bob?
Oh yes.
Yeah, like the interview with like him and like that video. I mean, I've looked at that a bunch of times, and that is like real as ever to me.
Bro, I feel the same way.
I'm like that guy is real, man, and he's probably pretty cool too, man. He looks like he's all right with it. They're measuring him and everything. I'm like, it's not the data, man. Bring him freaking down, Like, let's get his perspective, because he's got a real one for sure. And whatever is fucking going on.
It looks like he's all right with it.
like he was totally cool, man. And they screwed that relationship up, man. The guy probably was like, I am out of here. You guys got it all wrong. I'm going back to my class. So
Yes, dude.
but
Yeah.
that's what I think. I think that they had to kind of take ownership of a couple little leaks here and there, whatever, and just like JP, my partner, was saying though, like when on the 25th, when the report came out and stuff like that, he's like, "Bro, did you read this? Did you?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, What did you expect? You'd expect it just all to come out now, and now I'm like, what government in the history of society in general has ever given you anything that's real and that's not under control of some kind, or they're not going to just hand us anything,
Without a motive.
and yeah, exactly, like, because why we didn't get shit, because they don't know how to exactly monetize it just yet, but I guarantee you there's going to be a couple holograms involved and some real shit, some DI, and a whole nice combination of everything for you, and boom, we'll get that in the next couple of years, I think.
Dude,
More to come on that, I'm sure.
yeah, that sentiment of they haven't figured out how to monetize it yet hits hard for me, because I mean, one of the things I fully believe in, that anything that happens with those in control is always fueled by money, dude. It always goes back to money, man. So,
Yeah.
like, but what
Always.
is it? Like, what's the monetization there? Like, what's
the threat
Control.
idea is monetization. I mean, that's how they get the Pentagon to say, okay, here's a lot of money, go for it.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's, I guess it's nice. I mean, I'd like to be like, hey, I believe in UFOs. Can I borrow some money so I can go do some massive research? And somebody just be like, yeah, right. But you can't just go to the government and say, hey, I'm looking for a lot of money so we can go look for UFOs. And they're like, no, go fuck yourself, right? But if you say, hey, there's a threat, and it is entering our military airspace. They're flying off of our coast. They're flying over our military installations. This could possibly be a threat. Then the Pentagon ears perk up, and they're like, "Oh, you're right. Maybe we should study this. Here's a shitload of money." Right? So
Yeah.
that could they be a threat? Absolutely. Right? Could they not be a threat? Equally, absolutely, right? It's kind of 50-50. I mean, based off of like what we've all experienced and seen, it doesn't seem like there's much of a threat. It seems more of like a startle, like, oh, I've never encountered that. Like yeah, it does maybe freak you out because it's something you don't experience, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a threat, right? If a deer snuck up on me in the woods and like I didn't hear it or see it, and I turned around and I saw a big old buck, I would be like, holy shit, and then back away. And like, he's probably equally as scared as me, but I know that thing could gore me easily. It could put me on the ground and trample me anytime it wants. It's way stronger than I am. It's kind of the same thing with UFOs. It's like, or aliens. It's like, well, look, I don't necessarily know what can happen, but I'm going to kind of keep my distance a little bit because I know it has the capability to destroy me, and there's nothing I can do about it. Right.
Yeah.
And it could be, it could not be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think this whole disclosure thing, the only things that can actually disclose anything are the ETs themselves. They're the only ones with the information. They're the only ones that can disclose, can bring disclosure, right?
Yeah.
They're the only ones that can do it. The government can give you some information that they have, right? We can all sit around and share our videos and give information that we have. That's the human perspective. It's still not disclosure. The only thing we've disclosed is like the information that we have, but it's not going to be the answer, right? And that's kind of what we all want. We all want to see one, and we want to know who they are, where they come from, and what the hell they're doing. Yeah, that's the disclosure. And the only things that can disclose it are the ETs themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the government, and whatever committee out there, that is disclosing anything, it's only going to be a version, if anything, of what the ETs are allowing. You know what I mean? They're definitely in full control of what's going on. I mean, these things, I mean, and it's amazing when you first kind of jump into the field, right? And you start getting really passionate about it and stuff like that. Here on this on this podcast, right? But it's since 2019, I've been diving into it, whatever, and then it's just like, holy shit, I got to do something about this. I got to make sure that people know that. And it's like, nah, man, dude, slow down. This has been going on for thousands of years. This has been around for a long time. Your reality just got stung by it. And you know what? Wake up, you're in for fucking quite a ride, right? But it's been going on for a long time. So once I kind of took a deep breath and kind of slowed down. That was sort of like when that second UFO came around, and I was just like, something came over me where it was just like, what are you worried about, man? Listen, we're right here. We're not going anywhere. This is going on for quite some time. We're going to be around. You're going to get another shot at this. Just go relax and go lay on the beach. And it's just, once I kind of got myself calmed down and used to it, and I'm sure you can kind of see the temperament of like when I was emailing you like a couple of years ago versus like more recently, it's kind of like, yeah, and we're kind of like, I'm kind of more comfortable with it, and the show's
Right.
now, right? It's not stigma's not really there anymore as much, and it's kind of like having fun with it, and it's kind of calmed down. Once I came to that realization that like, look, this has been going on, whatever it has been, for a long time. We're lucky, in our lifetimes now. And again, like the earlier part of this conversation was that, look, I think little things that the government are allowing out there, these leaks and stuff like that. I think that we're fortunate to be here in this time because it's kind of cool that, look, the subject is kind of opening up, and everybody's questioning everything. And, like I say, man, don't forget to look up because you're going to see some cool shit, man. You open your mind to it, you kind of open yourself up to the field and you just think anything's possible, and I think it's going to come around, man. The phenomenon just seems to keep popping its head up, right? So
yeah, definitely,
dude. Like sorry,
no, you're good. Go for it,
dude. I think history is gonna repeat itself, and we have to almost like look at it like allegorically, where nothing big ever happened, no big change or renaissance ever happened with whoever's in power saying this thing or releasing information or one event of like aliens landing on the White House lawn or wherever country you're in. It's always those who are speaking it through an individual. I mean, we could tie that to the Bible. We could tie that to so many things. Like, it's not going to happen that way. So stop looking for that big one hit.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, everything all at once. And it's got all the answers all at once. It's always going to happen kind of like a drip, and then through the people that it's happening to.
And most of the time the change is actually like tried, is kind of the governments of the time usually try and suppress that change that's coming, that they don't want that stuff to happen. It's a control thing, man. And one of the things that you said that resonated with me was like, you're excited at first, you want to tell the world, we got to get the information out, this and that. But then you realize after a while, it's like, we got to slow our roll, and like, that's one of the coolest things about this show for us is like, we always tell people, look, hey, we're not here to give you answers. We're not here to tell you about all the crazy research, right? We're here to have conversation because we don't know. And anybody that tells you that they know are probably full of shit, right? Like, that's not what this is about. This isn't about knowing stuff. This is about like hearing about people's experiences. This is about enjoying the conversation. This is about normalizing the topic in general, right? This isn't, if this was a classroom, this would be an elective, right? It's the fun class, if anything. It's definitely not an AP physics class, that's for sure. And if people do get some knowledge out of this, like, more power to you. But just always know that, like, me and Ben are not here to, I guess, teach you anything. We're here to have the conversation and open it up to anybody who's willing to have that conversation with us. Because, like I said, the disclosure is going to ultimately come from the ETs, but a lot of like the missing pieces and information is going to come from us. It's not going to come from, the power source, right?
Yeah, I hear you. Well, let me say something there though, Joe. I got to tell you, man. And I'm not gonna. I gotta throw some thunder back your way, all right? Because you got to realize something, that this is kind of cool and natural to you guys, and you're flowing this, this information that's coming out to all of us. Like, you don't realize how necessary you guys are and how well of a job you are doing with all of this. I mean, you're making all of us feel better about it and making us want to talk about it, and you're making it more mainstream and you're making it comfortable. It's because you guys are fucking geniuses. That's why. And that's, you know what, I honestly, and you know what, it's in this field, and it's a way about everything that you just said, Joe, the culmination of that, and kind of like how things happen and what we're there to do, and to, maybe you're the, the archons of sharing, or whatever, whatever it is, but you're bringing us together. It was beyond helpful to me. I was in a bad place, man. Ben, I've told you this a couple times, man. And it was not a good thing for me at all. But because I had you guys to kind of get me through that whole first phase of it, kind of find myself through it a little bit, knowing that I had a voice and I had to share. I had to bring some stuff to the fold, right? But not to just run down the street like a madman, because there goes the UFO guy again. Right? It's like, that's what you want to do, right? But bringing some normalcy to it, calming it down, and just, honing in on kind of what's really important. It's like, no, we don't have the ultimate answer here right now. We know some shit's pretty phenomenal that's out there, right? And the stuff that we were raised on is not necessarily exactly the bigger picture. We are some really cool experiences ourselves. We got some great shit to share. Hey, jump on board and let's kind of do this thing together. It's the greatest thing that you guys have done, man. It's absolutely brilliant, man. And I don't know if I could speak for everybody, but I wanted to say thank you.
Well, dude, thank you.
Make me cry,
man.
dude.
I mean, it's people like y'all, man, that make this whole thing possible. If not, it's just me and Ben sitting in a room talking about aliens, which is what we've done for forever. That's just what we've done. We just decided to put it on the internet one day. So, man, that thank you very much for those kind words, man.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
course,
awesome.
man.
Thanks for saying that, man. Like, I'll flip it back on you, Larry, for a second, dude. Like, when we first started chatting, I could tell that you had so much going on and you're trying to put it into words, and like it was almost like a natural, like frantic, like oh my God, I need to communicate. And that's all we're ever trying to do. Like when something like that happens to you, like how do you control that energy? And dude, like just seeing you kind of grow from that and watching your podcast, and like you said, through your emails, just being more confident and finding out who you are and finding your voice and being able to articulate is just something beautiful, man. So I've got to flip that right around to you for putting yourself out there too. And yeah, just like talking about this whole thing, man.
I really appreciate that, man. I'm excited for whatever it brings, man. Hey, and just like you guys, I mean, if I get to hang out with JP and, now that the wife's kind of on board, whatever, I get a couple hours a week to go do all that. Yes. Hey, look, if that scratches that itch, and it's fun and we're all cool and we're all sharing together, and we're kind of creating our own family sort of in this space. It's kind of like people that you automatically can trust. I mean, look at, I got to kind of give a shout out, man, to your guests and stuff like that. I mean, I know you guys were on What If not too long ago, so big shout out to them, Bob as well. I mean, that, just fabulous podcasts and phenomenal guys, man, just kind of being raw and honest and passionate, and that's really what the space needs. And some of the experiences along the way is just, unbelievable. I mean, even dudes like that, who was that guy? Alamo Mike, whatever. I mean, like, these people are phenomenal. That you guys, like, these people are unbelievable. I'm like, I want one, it's like, it's like, where do you find them, And I mean, it's like every week it's some sort of new adventure that you're kind of bringing to the fold, and it's fucking awesome, man. So
it's,
boys,
it's just like you, man. Like, first, like, you heard it and you reached out, like you felt comfortable, and that's, they come to us, like, and we're very open-minded, and we want to listen. We just want to listen. We want to learn. That's the whole thing. And so, I feel like, there's a lot of shows who probably miss out on a lot of awesome people, because it's just like, well, I don't know who this person is. They don't have anything spectacular going on. Like, we'll skip it because,
I'm
ratings
sure you get
or
a
whatever.
lot of
but
comments.
Every email that we get from people, we try and like link up. It's like, dude, you have a story and you cared enough about it to actually talk to us and send us an email. Like, the least we can do is chat with you. I mean, that's what we do. It's like, that's the respect part of it. It's like, dude, like, we tell everybody almost every week, like, y'all are spending y'all's time with us, taking your time out of your day to just come and hang out with us, man. And like, dude, we appreciate that. So it's nothing but love, man, across the board, right?
Very good, man. You know that. You know that. So
Hell yeah, man.
I
Well,
love that.
hey, how
I
are we,
love that.
dude? Hey, we love you, brother. Well, how are we doing on time? Are we? I don't know what the time zone is. Is
I'm
y'all like an
cool.
hour ahead?
It's
Oh
almost
shit,
10:30 my time, but
dude,
I'm
hell yeah.
cool.
Hell yeah. Well, dude, that's awesome. So, bro, I want to ask like where okay, so we talked about time crystals, we talked about the pyramids, we talked about all these questions, these truth-seeking questions. Have you looked into simulation theory at all? I mean, I hate to go like backtrack at all, but like have you guys thought about simulation theory at all? I mean,
Yeah, and it kind of hurts my brain a little bit because I don't, after reading through some of the theories, I don't see how this isn't a simulation. It's like there's like too many things pointing to it. So I can't really say that I'm a pro at it, but it does. If anything, that makes me a little bit nervous. But I believe it. I believe it could be true. I believe it could be a simulation. I believe a lot of things about the earth, like we were talking about earlier and at the beginning part of the podcast. And, with the freaking medallion that I found, it's like it doesn't add up to what I'm being. If you go look at a map online right now, it's nothing like what I have. That's a tangible, thing from the 1800s, right? It's like I don't know what version of the world is being served to us, right? And are we just the test inside this whole simulation? I don't know, but I think it's a really valid idea, you know. So I mean, that's kind of as far as I can go with it, though. I'm not saying no to it. That's for sure. You know.
yeah, dude. Yeah, I don't think the simulation would care if we did say no. It's like, it's
Right.
like
I just don't want to get zapped out of the simulation early, man. If you know what I'm saying, all right. I'm trying
Oh
to stay in
yeah.
that. I'm trying to stay in that lane over here. If you're you're dragging me back in.
dude, yeah, you know what's fun to think about is like when you talk about like magic or like casting spells with and relating that with like code. I'm
Right.
like super into that right now, and
Yeah, I think a lot of that's real, man.
yeah, and like manifesting and when you're what's the term? Pfft, I'm like totally drawing a blank. Like when you think really positively and you kind of draw something into existence, if you just keep it on your mind at all times, like is like self actualization or
Like you're I know what you're talking about. Like, yeah,
there's a
you're
term for it.
creating your reality. Like
Yeah,
your intent,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Is putting your intent in something is kind of calling that reality into fruition for you.
Right, dude. So do you I wonder if because all this UFO stuff is happening in the news, we talked about it, this topic being more people okay being talking about it. Are we manifesting this because it's a real thing and it's always been there, or are we making it more, I guess, vibing with our frequency because we're starting to believe it, and more people are having this
That's a
experience.
big
So we're like
one.
we're like bringing
So
it into existence, man.
I have some theories on this, and I think that space in general, the reason why we keep exploring and finding that space is expanding and stuff like that, is I think it has a lot to do with our consciousness here and us literally being sort of, a level of divine beings where our consciousness, like mass consciousness, I don't know if you've heard about that, where it's almost like this goes back to, there's Mandela theories and stuff like that, where 50% of the population remember one thing one way, 50% remember it the other way. As long as everybody's thinking about it and remembering one way, that's the way that it was. And I think that sort of in that sort of conceptually, right? That moving all the way to like, let's call it outer space, right? And how outer space is expanding and stuff like that. I believe that it's our consciousness and our brains kind of creating this expansion of space and creating more of this space because the more that if we're together, we believe it to be true. I believe it becomes true to it in essence.
Dude, yes, bro. It's like why would the media, like we all talk about like trying to control the culture of the society by writing textbooks and putting things down that like didn't freaking happen, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Like just because we believe it to be that, then it's real, man. It's such a mind fuck. Like, but what if we
Yeah.
take it a step further with like actually going, instead of the past controlling the and how we think about it, but controlling the future with
Yeah.
how we or the media or whoever is in control is talking about specific things. I mean, you can go down a dark rabbit hole on a couple
Dude,
topics.
yeah.
You really can go down a lot of holes on that too. I
You,
mean,
you
there's a lot
can.
of different, factions, I want to call them, out there in society, that it's like whether or not there was a natural progression to this or somebody has now tacked onto it from a technological progression like this. There's like CERN, there's like all kinds of crazy shit that's going on out there in the world where I don't know how much everybody's followed up on that. But it's kind of like you can sort of, there's a conscious way or a mass conscious way to do these things, or there's also a way maybe that they have figured out how to put things back in time into zip little tiny paradigms, very tiny ones that sort of have this energy to them back in time, and that can open up and sort of change the realities that we're in today.
Mhm.
Oh. Okay, so I know, Joe, you have
Joe's like, yeah.
I like that.
I saw this drawing, the schematic of time being like kind of like a infinity symbol, and your present self is in the center of that infinity, and your past self is at the beginning, and then your future self is at the end. And it kind of explains that time it's non-linear, because when you think on a time in your past, like something crazy that happened to you, it doesn't have to be like, the time you got in trouble, but something, maybe something beautiful. You're like really focusing on that. You are quantumly experiencing that in your present time. And then when you think about your future, you are also kind of quantumly entangling yourself, if we believe that there's the multi-universe theory, that actually does exist. Anything you can think of in the future, I mean, somebody said the cheat code, that like,
Yeah.
maybe that's the cheat code, is that you focus enough on that future timeline that it does become to steer in that direction, and your present self is just in the middle of that, in that loop. I don't know. I just thought that was a cool diagram to kind of
I
think
love
about.
the theory. I mean, I'm of the firm belief that if you believe it and you think about it, hard enough, and you want something, as long as you're positive and as long as you have good intentions and there's a good vibration around it and the frequency's right, what you just said, by utilizing that algorithm that you had just there, I believe that it's going to happen. So, there's a way to make things work. I think we just figured it out. Good job.
I started watching Loki on Disney Plus.
All right,
dude.
And
yes.
like that's kind of cool, like how they did that.
I like how it's actually really cool. I saw like one or two episodes of it. You know what I love? Because the first question is, wait a minute, this is after, Endgame, right? So it's like, why don't you just go back in time and get the damn stone again? And it's like the second you go back in time, it's the back in time police, and you're all fucking busted. You're totally busted. Like, you can't open up that door, and they like sweep it away. Like, all right, go back about 10 minutes. All right, they throw him in jail. And that's it. And it's like, all right, good. They caught that right out the gate, because that was going to be, no one was going to be able to watch, I felt like. But after they got that out of the way,
yes.
Loki's a badass. I like the way he's twisted, so.
That's a perfect example. Dude, like, they have like the drawer full of the Tesseract and like all the.
Yeah. Like my kids playing with that. It's like, what? Like they were like little toys, right?
Like the most powerful things in the universe that you can interact in the multiverse and all this other stuff, but then there's this time police, and they control what's happening like on this timeline. Like, you can't break off of this time. That's the whole reason they exist, because we used to be this multi-timed like thing that got out of control, and they were like, okay, look, we have to wind this up into a single timeline, and we're gonna keep control of it and make sure everybody stays on track. Like, it's a cool idea. I think that's a really cool idea for sure.
Hell yeah, man.
It's such a good show, man. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I didn't watch all the Avengers, but I did love Loki, dude. That was I binge watched it all in one night, dude. Like, what is it, like 8 hours or something?
Man, I love that whole dynamic between him and his brother. I mean, it's great. It's a great little twist, man.
Yeah, man. I wish.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. He was a giant, right? Like, and his father, Zeus or something like that, found him in a battle, right? And was like, I can't let this baby die, whatever. And then he took him back. He took him back to Asgard, and he raised him as his own kid.
Right, yeah, and his
So he grew up
sister
as
went
Thor's
somewhere
brother.
else. Yeah.
Wait, Thor was he was human or
No, Thor's from Asgard,
okay?
and his father is from Asgard. I
Okay.
think it was played by Anthony Hopkins, and you know, it escapes me. Some of the Thor movies were like Ragnarok and like a couple of them, but the storyline behind that was that they had been battling with these giants, you know, forever, right? But they sort of like obliterated them, and when they did, he saw the babe was there, and like he kind of took Loki as his own. He's like, I can't destroy this baby, so he brought him back to Asgard and raised him and Thor together as brothers. And you know, he's like, oh, you'll always be my brother, but he's really a giant. That's
Oh,
different from the
okay.
bloodline.
Yeah, sorry, I talked over you that second, but like
Oh.
the thing about Loki always being adopted, that makes sense now. Okay,
Yeah.
I just didn't know that backstory. That's
Yeah.
super cool, dude. That's dope.
Yeah. So
Thanks.
I appreciate that
Yeah,
dynamic.
dude. Thanks, Terry. Yeah, if you guys are liking the show, please click subscribe on a YouTube channel. Man. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
hit,
dude.
hit that
Go.
like button, smash that like button,
Hit the like button,
that's what's up.
subscribe. Yeah, dude. I mean, dude, yeah, we're rocking and rolling over here. We got super chats now. I mean,
Oh yeah,
Nice.
yeah. So
You guys got a good setup, man. It's cool.
it's been fun, man. It's
Oh.
just it's slowly growing. It's slowly. Honestly, it's kind of like just taking on a mind of its own. I mean, we show up and the show does what it does.
It's awesome. Man.
Yeah.
It's great, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Fabulous.
It's just, fuck, man.
dude, so much fun, man.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like out of questions, bro. Like my mind is kind of like.
I know,
Well, good.
we covered so much stuff, dude. Man,
I'm glad, man.
we've got to link up sometime. I'd love to
Absolutely.
look through some of them cool toys that you have, man. I mean,
Yeah, man. I'm heading out to Montauk in a couple days. I'm gonna, go out there. I'm bringing my telescope. I'm bringing my night vision,
yeah.
and I'm bringing my attitude. So, I'll be set up out there, and who knows, man? If I find any cool shit, believe me, I'm gonna let you guys know.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
But we'll keep in touch, man. I mean, look, I like Texas, man. And I'm in New York, so I mean,
Come
between
hang
those two
out.
things, yeah, man. We'll definitely have to hook up.
We've got some family out in New York, so
All right.
maybe the next time that we go out and visit, man, we'll have to link
Nice.
up.
Which part of New York? I'm actually in Queens, in the house I grew up in right now.
So I don't know anything about New York, and
All
I
right.
drove through a bunch of mountains. I know
Okay,
that
so maybe a little bit upstate, maybe a little north from here, but
I guess they live near the Delaware, like the
Okay.
river, and
Yeah.
it's near like New Jersey. It's kind of like in this weird spot where you can go to like 3 states.
that's easy enough.
So yeah, I mean, you being from there, I'm sure on a map you know exactly kind of where that area is. But
Well, I always get lost no matter what when I go to New Jersey, so we're gonna have to figure someplace out in the middle. But no.
yeah, dude, yeah.
But yeah, man. Look, I'd love to hook up with you guys, man.
Yes, man.
We'll have to figure that out. We'll chat some more. I'll shoot you guys a note, let you know how my trip's going, and I'm looking forward to. You guys are almost on your way to number 100, aren't you?
Ooh, dude, we're so close.
We're getting pretty close.
We're gonna do the tattoo episode, right? So we're gonna get tattoos while we're doing the podcast.
Have you ever gotten a tattoo?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Nice. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Very good. All right.
Got some
Nice.
Yeah, dude. So
Very cool.
Dude, maybe that's what you come down to Austin and get a tattoo with us, dude.
Oh man, that sounds like a fucking plan. I got a couple myself. I got a couple around,
Yeah.
We'll get into all that. I like it.
Yes,
Cool.
dude. Yeah. Well, dude, you always have an open invitation on the show, man. If
Awesome.
you're ever just
I appreciate
bored,
that.
want to shoot the shit or whatever, man, just hit us up. I mean, we do have guests and stuff, but occasionally things fall through.
Yeah, man.
It's just us
Hey, anytime you
hanging
need
out,
somebody
so.
to come on, man. Anytime, just hit me up, man. I'm more than happy, man. I've been waiting a long time for this, man. I think you guys are phenomenal. So, anytime, man. Just let me know.
Well, dude, you've been absolutely awesome, and thank you so much for just the support that you've shown us, man. I like we just can't thank you enough for that, dude. Like that
No doubt.
fucking it hits you in the feels
Dude,
a little bit. That
yeah, man. That's
somebody's
awesome.
willing to back you like that. So
Yeah,
man,
bro.
we really
You
appreciate
got my
that.
support fully, fellas. So, thank you for everything you do, man. I mean, I'm telling you, I mean, you've changed my life, man. So, I thank
Dude.
you guys for that too, man. It's nice to kind of be a part of the whole thing, man. To finally get to sit down and talk shop with you folks. So, this meant a lot to me, and I'm looking forward to doing more of it, man. So
Absolutely,
dude. Heck
dude.
yeah, dude. Heck yeah, for sure.
Dude, we love you, man. And dude, let's
Awesome.
again, we'll keep in touch, dude. And we'll have to have you back on, dude, like soon, bro. So
absolutely, love it. I love it.
All right, brother.
All right, bro.
Have
We'll
a good night, man.
Cheers. Don't forget to
Peace.
Peace, man.
Oh, sorry. He said, say it again.
don't forget to look up.
There we go. All right, man.
Right, man.
All right, fellas.
Dope. Dude, yeah.
That was I'm so glad we waited and we didn't do it when you were sick. Cause
I know, me too. Me too.
It's been a long time since we've known that dude, and we finally got him on the show. That was, dude, that's like my, oh man, that's my shit. Just talking about whatever comes up. And just throwing out ideas, dude.
Make sure let's share his website again so that way everybody can see it. I mean, you guys can go and check out his stuff. They have a show that they do. Like I said, I mean, he's they've both had their own little experiences, man, and it just it just makes you want to talk sometimes, and that's what these guys do. And obviously, he puts in the work. Sometimes this stuff can just drive you insane because you just can't let it go. But it's pretty awesome. I love it, man. Dude, I've checked it out. I've seen the episodes.
Triangle episode's really good. Yeah.
Great website. So definitely go check it out. Phinnean.com. Phinnean.com.
With two N's. Phinnean.com, dude. Yes.
Yeah, dude.
Love that guy, man.
It's pretty sick. That was a fun episode,
dude.
Man.
Seriously, bro.
I love doing those shows like this. It's great, man.
It's crazy because like we are in people's radios or in their ears like sometimes like all day, every day for like a long time, and then we actually get to talk to those people. Like, dude, that's so fucking fun, man.
I know, I love it, man. So cool. I love it. Yeah. Chad's saying that we need to go live twice a week.
I love that. Dude, thank you for that super chat, bro. I appreciate that.
Dude, Chad. Heck yeah, man. Thank you so much, man.
There was a couple. Thank you, Grantavius. Dude, thank you for that super sticker, brother. Appreciate that, bro.
Dude. Yes, love it, man.
And we got it. And the Chad Smith is a new YouTube member. We have a member. YouTube members, and you get to. I don't know if you've noticed this, but as a new member, you get to have your own. Only members have these emojis, and all you have to do is type in. I think the first one's fart. It's a butt fart. It's pretty awesome. There's a cinnamon terry one. I'll post the codes when I look it up. I have to like go in the back end and on YouTube and see.
Cinnamon Terry. Some of you guys out there may not know who Cinnamon Terry is. Cinnamon Terry is a really good close friend to us. He's been with us for a long time. Desiree, thank you so much.
Thank you, Desiree. Yes.
Yeah. Cinnamon Terry is a buddy of ours. He's an alien, and he plays the bongos down on 6th Street. So for those of you who are new, we do have a buddy named Cinnamon Terry, and I would just like to say that for the first time ever on UFO Garage, next week we will actually be talking to Cinnamon Terry.
Dude,
he's going to be coming on the show. So Cinnamon Terry has he's got a cool little backstory, right? I mean, it's just like Superman.
Thank you, Jenny. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Cinnamon Terry, he believe it or not, even though he is an alien, Cinnamon Terry is kind of he doesn't really roll around in the UFO community. He doesn't really think about aliens and UFOs. He's kind of indifferent about the whole thing. So, we talk to him all the time and we're like, so dude, being an alien, how can you not, think about other aliens and stuff? And, Cinnamon Terry is just kind of like, I don't know. I just don't really think about it too often. So he's kind of like just a regular person, somebody who's not into the UFO thing or alien thing. He's really just like a regular person. So I'm excited to be chatting with Cinnamon Terry next week. It's gonna be sweet,
dude. And yeah, like that whole aspect of like he's an alien, but he doesn't really care. He's like, I don't know. Doesn't affect me.
So Cinnamon Terry, actually, his race was at war with another race, and they were very close to being annihilated. And as they came through, Cinnamon Terry was a young child, and his parents actually thought that Earth would be a safe place, and so they dropped Cinnamon Terry off. And as they were leaving the atmosphere, the enemy was fast approaching, right? And so they decided, in best interest for the galaxy, that they would self-destruct. And so Cinnamon Terry's family and their ship self-destructed in order to also blow up the bad guys that were chasing them. And they've been destroying stuff in our galaxy for a long time. So pretty much, Cinnamon Terry is like, for all I know, I'm the only thing left, right? So he's always just kind of been indifferent about the whole thing. And so, yeah, I mean, we'll be talking to him next week, though. So it's going to be fun. I'm super excited. You guys go check out Cinnamon Terry. Do we still have a Cinnamon Terry shirt?
Dude, I took it off because they ran out of some of the colors. Maybe it was a limited edition. Maybe I'll spin it that way, like marketing,
Okay. Okay.
But no, I took it off. I need to put it back on though, dude.
We'll come up with some more Cinnamon Terry stuff. But yeah, Cinnamon Terry is a good friend of ours.
Yeah,
for sure.
Dude. Bro, yeah, I totally forgot about that until you just said that. Got me really excited. Is that next week?
That's next week. Dude. Cinnamon Terry will be on with us next week.
Oh my god, bro, I'm so stoked.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Man, okay, well, what else do we got?
I know that Allison had made a comment a little bit earlier on in the show, and she was talking about how she had some pretty interesting photos and also knows some other people with some pretty interesting photos as well. Hey, I mean, if you want to share, send them our way. We'd love to see some of that stuff. I love it. Let's see. Are you guys trolling right now, or is this a Hellier Terry wrist thing? No, we're not.
Interesting connection.
Yeah, interesting connection. No, we're not trolling at all. Cinnamon Terry is like a real thing.
Well, there's okay. So are we? So
I guess
it's a little bit of a troll.
Okay, it's a light troll.
But we're having
for everybody out there who
good
thinks
fun.
we're like, I mean, come on. How many real aliens do you guys know?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, let's be honest.
But okay,
in
so
our universe, in the UFO garage, in our universe, Cinnamon Terry's a thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And
he's just been with the show for a long time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like if you made it this far, we might as well. It's so we get people that reach out all the time that want to remain anonymous, and because we already have this character, Cinnamon Terry, we're just gonna have him be kind of that voice for people that want to remain anonymous, don't want to be on camera. And I don't know, it's just a creative thing.
So
dude.
yeah, Cinnamon Terry basically represents the people who have stuff that they want to say, but are still maybe a little bit afraid to come out fully, show their face, share their name. So Cinnamon Terry kind of represents the safety net for experiencers or people who just would like to remain anonymous for whatever, for their personal reasons. Cinnamon Terry is there to help people be comfortable, because a lot of times people want to talk and they have nobody to talk to. And it takes a long time for them to be able to want to get this stuff out. And they just don't know how to do it.
And maybe because of their job or whatever, they just, it's like maybe they work on certain things that are not, that are secret, trying to dance around that, but maybe they legally can't say anything. So that's another reason too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find Cinnamon Terry on Facebook. Hold on. Yes. Okay. I found it.
Yep. There's Cinnamon Terry.
Cinnamon Terry.
That's the that's the part of the galaxy that he's from.
Yeah.
And that's
Dude,
our buddy.
with the pizza and the donut.
That's our buddy Cinnamon Terry. He's got 11 friends.
He does.
He's
on Facebook. Terry Cinnamon.
Yep. Look up Terry Cinnamon on Facebook. Add him as a friend. Terry Cinnamon's pretty awesome. We call him Cinnamon Terry, but
yes, love that. Okay, dude. Well, we are almost at the 10 o'clock mark. And then, guys, Spaced Out Radio is at 11. If you're at Central, if you're Pacific time, let's do some math, dude. Math's always fun. It's still an hour from now. Wait, an hour and okay, it doesn't matter. It's in like almost an hour. But
Yeah.
guys, check out Spaced Out Radio after us. Check it out, dude.
Coming up next.
Where is Dave Scott? Dave Scott hasn't made an appearance tonight.
Yeah, he must be getting ready for a humdinger, as we like to call it, and that means a good one.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, it must be good. Yeah, hell yeah. Anyway, so what other news do we have, dude? Are we?
Chad, I totally agree. It's not about how many friends you have; it's the quality of them friends.
Them friends.
That's
Hell
right.
Yeah, dude, that's what's up.
That's
what's
right.
up.
Tammy Finney, I am Dave Scott.
Oh, that's right. Chad Smith is Dave Scott.
I'm Dave Scott.
Tammy Finnegan. I am Dave Scott.
Who's the guy on Walking Dead? I am damn it, what's his name? I am
Carl.
No.
Carl.
What's his name? I am Nemo. Not Nemo. Nemo's not his name. I am something like that. I forget.
Dude, Saginac Crow, Saginac Crow. Hey, Aussies, what's up? Are Aussies in the house? What's up, y'all? Damn.
We got them from all over the place.
So dope, dude. Hell yeah. Terry said, no, I'm Dave Scott. Sonny. I love this.
Everybody was Chad Smith earlier.
Yeah.
Everybody was Dave Scott.
Dude, I love it.
Oh,
man. Yeah, will the real Dave Scott please show yourself?
Will the real Dave Scott please stand up?
Sage. Sorry. Sage.
Sage.
Okay, got it. Hell yeah.
What'd you call it?
A Saginacro. I can't read, man. I don't do the. Don't read it.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah, we're cool with Dave Scott. He's a good friend of ours.
Yeah, dude, we're cool like that. Hey, I'm cool like that. I'm cool like that.
I'm cool like that. I'm cool like that. Do that. Do that.
Cause we're cool like that.
Diggable
Planets.
That's what's up, dude. Gotta check them out. If y'all haven't heard of Diggable Planets, bro.
The Diggable Planets.
It's
where
that
it's at.
It's that jazz.
Yeah.
It's that jazz. All right, well, let's get out of here, dude. That was fun, man. That was so
Apollo
awesome.
11, dude. Thanks for the super sticker, man.
Dude, thanks, bro.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
I love just hanging out in the chat with you guys. Just chilling, reading the comments. It's so crazy. It's so crazy how like we've gotten to this place where like we're staring at a screen, like reading comments and hanging out with people. It's like fucking awesome.
Yeah, dude. It is pretty damn cool. Like it started like just us and a couple microphones, and then like
two turntables and a microphone.
Trying to figure out the friggin' universe.
At?
Where it's at, I don't know. Is that the words?
No.
Dude?
It repeats. I got two turntables and a microphone.
Classic, dude.
Oh my gosh, dude. All right, guys. Well, y'all have been friggin' awesome once again. What I got, you got to give it to your mama. What I got, you got to give it to your papa. Yeah, right? What I got, you got to put it in you.
Put it in.
So basically what I'm saying is, hey, tell your friends. Tell them to come hang out with us. Let's all have a good time together.
Tell your mother, tell your father, send a telegram.
Yeah, there you go. It's another Diggable Planets reference. Or
is that Tribe?
No, I think that's Tribe. Tribe Called Quest. Yeah.
Here's a funky introduction of Anasa Am. Tell your mother, tell your father, send a telegram.
Hell yeah.
I'm so good at that.
All right, guys. Well, hey, we love you.
Yeah, we love you guys.
And,
thanks for hanging out with us.
This has been another episode of UFO Garage. We'll talk to you next week.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.